Remix. 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 Remix.
Well. Because I'm going to always have the last laugh. You know, I might be late once, but you won't catch me again. What it do, niggas? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. I have no idea where my two co-hosts are, as they like to say about me. I hope they're hugged up with somebody, probably the people they're finna marry since they're all engaged and shit. But I'm the only one here right now. So, yeah. I did see the thumbnail though, the whole serving justice thing. I'm fucking with it. You know? And I do have plenty of stories to talk about. So there's also that. Hi guys. Welcome in the chat. Let me pull up the run sheet thingy. Good morning, David. Hey, Brittany. Let me see. Where these niggas at for real though? I know, right, Chitty Matcha? She said it's the Amber remix. You know? Yeah. Hi, Brother Jamil. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. We really should have you back on the show again. I just love talking to you. Thanks, Maggie. I took my contact lenses out so I didn't get tear gas and go permanently blind. So I started wearing my glasses again for a little bit until things died down a little bit. But, you know, when the white supremacy starts to chill a little more, you know, it ain't never gonna go away. But if it chills a little bit, then I'll put the contacts back in. But I actually do wear glasses. I just never have them in. I'll usually wear them a little bit, and then especially in the summer months, because you can start to sweat under your eyes, and I hate that. So I usually wear my contacts in the summer, so I can also wear shades, and then I'll go back to glasses. Not you just brought yourself up there.
I'm bad. Just got a text. I'm late. Sorry, I'm late.
Who texted you? It wasn't me. I was gonna let you stay where you was at.
Damn. Shots are early this morning. I saw Lord text, but I actually was looking at the story, one of the stories, and I was like, oh, but anyway, my bad.
Which one was you looking at?
The watch story. It was stupid.
Oh, the one where they making them like cheaper options or whatever.
Yeah, and the dude, I spent a little time looking at that dude. But anyway, what you been talking about? Glasses. What's up with these glasses? Where you get them from?
I wear glasses.
You always wear glasses?
I wear them a lot. Yeah, I just wear contacts too.
Oh, maybe these are new glasses.
These are old glasses. I've had these for like 6 years.
They look like Shirley Chisholm glasses. You being Shirley Chisholm today?
No, as I was telling the crowd earlier, I had to take my contact lenses out so I didn't go permanently blind if I got tear gas in the face. So I've been wearing my glasses for a little bit.
Permanently blind, damn.
It can make you go permanently blind.
He's gonna say you legally blind.
Damn.
POP.
Oh, are you talking about the Audemars Baguette watches or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've heard the term, but I didn't realize it was actually a real watch. And me and the nigga who be reading, we was looking at the watches, and I was like, I wouldn't get these. But Kev on Stage posted some of his like favorite watches from Black-owned businesses, and those ones are nice.
Yeah, I was looking at the two white people from the Swiss people who made the knife. I mean, not the knife.
Always some white people.
Yeah, but the argument was stupid, and I was just looking at that one.
Yeah, I mean, they always hate when people make something affordable to the regular person because, you know, you got them Audemars Baguettes. I mean, you better than everybody because you can afford it, which is crazy because I didn't realize they were expensive. Imagine thinking I was spending a couple $100 on a watch anyways. I was never doing that shit. I don't care. I don't care if I had all the money in the bank. I wasn't doing no dumb shit like that.
Well, people do things with their money that I feel like we spend too much time focused on how people spend their money and not
True.
enough time if they get enough money and why they not getting enough money or the resources they have. But
That part.
to each his own.
Zenzi asked in the chat, was Brother Jamil on live with me? Yeah, he was on the show like last year. We had him on. That's when he was calling Ashy Knuckles, Sister Ashy Knuckles. And it was so funny.
Sister Ashley Knuckles. How's that bar lotion soap thing? What was it? Bar lotion or bar?
It's like it's a lotion bar and it's great. I love it. I need to get my other one. Is she on here? Mail me some more.
I mean, I ain't get one. But who knows? I need one.
That don't work. Not you trying to be like me with the mason jar and the tea.
That's how I be making my tea, and I be putting it I broke all my little stuff. I broke my French press. I used to make my tea with my French press, and then I broke the other last thing. So
I'll be wanting to do that. So you can just use a regular French press people use for coffee.
yeah, that way you can put whatever you want to do in there. Like if you want to put your own fruits in there, you want to mix up herbs, and you put them in there, let it sit, and then press it down.
Yeah. I have some different loose leaf teas that somebody made me that I just kind of use here and there. And I usually will just like put it, my friend also gave me like disposable tea bags. So I'll put them in a disposable tea bag and do that. But I really like them. It's really good. She knew what she was doing.
Timu. I saw somebody people been going in about this doctor whoever.
I was just talking about that yesterday.
But they said her degree come from Timu.
Yeah, because she said the school that she went to, it closed down, so she can't get a transcript. And she lying. And it's okay. At this point, the lies is kind of funny. Like, she really kind of entertaining. But I really wish she would just shut the fuck up. Because it's not getting any better. Like, everyone knows you're lying. So just stop. And at some point, you're going to get sued because you keep calling yourself a doctor and you don't have a doctorate. And if someone who's using one of your products, she just launched a book. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, aka Cheyenne Bryant, because she's not a doctor. But she just released a book like 2 days ago, and she put like it's like a self-help type book by Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. If someone was to buy that book and then accuse her of being fraudulent or providing fraudulent materials, they could win because she's not a doctor. And her excuses were stupid. She was like, I went to Argosy University and they closed, and I wasn't able to get my transcript because they gave the transcripts to a third-party company, and that third-party company only keeps it for 2 years, and then my 2 years was up. And then people who went to the school were like, that's not true. Like, I go get my information all the time. But also, I don't know anybody who has gotten degrees. I mean, even when I went to summer school, I got my transcripts from Southwest College here in Memphis. I don't know anybody who would go to a school and not get your transcripts. Yeah, not only she lying with her whole chest, like Zenzi said.
You know, again, I hate to refer everything back to this dude, but this is how I found out about her a while ago. So she was on the Breakfast Club with this latest argument and getting saucy. And as Zenzi says, she's not only lying, but she's lying with her whole chest the way she was talking to the audience. But the only reason why I know about her is because one time, I think after certain things that Charlemagne was doing online, he posted a Steve Harvey quote that Steve Harvey said, once God forgive me, I don't really care about the rest of y'all. And it was pretty stupid. It was just a stupid ass quote. And I know why he was posting it. But when he said that, people was coming at him in the chat. And then she came in and responded to him. And she kind of like sat him down in a way because he called her his therapist. So that's when so the whole time I was like, oh, she's a therapist. I ain't really never looked at her, whatever. And then, fast forward to today, like her going on his platform to argue her credentials is wild as hell. But
That shit crazy as hell to me. And like I said before, I don't know anybody who doesn't keep up with the transcripts. I got the transcript files, the course descriptions, my degrees, all the documentation they sent me. I ain't throw none of that shit away. And Chitty Matcha said, on another note, a lot of colleges have shuttered over the past few years. What happens to people who need to confirm their degrees from those institutions over time? I actually have the answer for that because the institution I got my master's degree from, Hodges University, was destroyed in a hurricane. Half the school was destroyed in a hurricane. And then 2 years later, they closed because they weren't able to rebuild after that hurricane destroyed half the school. But you can go to the website and they still provide your information. It's still there. It's a third party company, and that third party company has everything because the federal government requires accredited institutions to provide you with your information. So just because they close doesn't mean they don't have to provide you with the info. They send everybody's transcripts and course info off to a third party company. And when you go to their website, they say, go to this third party company to get your transcripts or to get your conferred degree, like paper that says like your degree was conferred on this day. And they provide it. It exists. She just isn't a doctor. And it's really okay. Like I really don't give a fuck if she was a doctor or not. She really didn't even have to do all that. But honestly, she's just getting away with shit because she's pretty, realistically. And then she made this video talking about when she was on the Breakfast Club, she's talking about everybody talks about pretty privilege. What about pretty something? She would say some stupid shit. Pretty pain or some dumb shit like about how like she be going through a lot because she pretty. Like, be serious.
I mean, again, I don't really know, and I know we can do our check-in question.
Oh, here it is. Pretty punishment. Yeah. She said, "What about pretty punishment, girl?"
Yeah, I don't. So again, I don't know how she got famous and into those spaces prior to my interaction with her and him.
Because she a baddie.
Yeah,
she a baddie. But a baddie friend.
But everybody a baddie. There's many baddies that's not famous. So I'm trying to
figure out. She got easy access because niggas fall for shenanigans. That's how she got on Club Shay Shay. That's how she got on the Breakfast Club. And she be in all them. She be in all them fake therapist circles. You know, with your friend from South Carolina.
Yeah, it's before that though. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's
because he put her on. He talks about that. Charlamagne definitely put that lady on. And you know, all them other like fake life coach people online, they all run together. They all cool together.
Yeah,
they all put each other on.
Yeah, that ain't my question. My question is, but I think you kind of pushed it to the answer. He did write a book called Shook Ones, where he he tried to evade all the shit that was coming up and that he has done, and you know, whatever. And he trying to like go from Black Privilege book to the Shook Ones, a mental health book. And I think maybe he got in contact with her in that space because again, but I still don't know what again, there's a bunch of pretty people. So I don't know what brought her into the space. Maybe it was he was in those mental health spaces and whatever it was. But in terms of like stardom, the Breakfast Club interaction, I don't know if that came before the Cam Newton, but whatever it is, and the Nick Cannon, whatever it is, like she was engaging in low-hanging fruit with celebrity bullshit culture. And so all of y'all want to say Nick Cannon full of shit. So for her to be able to clinically prove that Nick Cannon full of shit is what made her seemingly famous. But I don't know.
Oh, Chitty Matcha said the National Student Clearinghouse. Yes, it is. That exactly is the third party. That's what most people use. It's that, and it's like one other site that's really popular. But yeah, that's why I usually have to go to get my transcripts because actually when I moved from my apartment to my house, I had lost one of them. It was like my transcript from summer school because I went to summer school here in Memphis because I needed more of like a hands-on, like smaller classroom approach for like math classes because I'm not good at math. So they were like, go to the summer class. So I did that, and I wanted to graduate early. So I did that, and I couldn't find my transcript. I needed it for something. So I had to like go to the little website and order it. And it had been like years after I had did that. But because they required, like, what was I applying to? I was applying to my master's program. and they require that you list every school that you went to, no matter if you only took a few classes. And I had to provide all those transcripts. It was annoying as hell, actually, but it was cool.
What? Somebody said something about Paul. I was trying to see if I could find a video. Paul.
Pierce Ben told her about herself. You from Long Beach? I know you. That's funny. She look like she work out a lot, so she could be from Long Beach. I could see that.
Listen, man, I don't want. All I know is, never mind. I hope she ain't been in them. I hope she ain't got famous because she been in them NBA.
That's exactly how she got famous. That's how they all get famous.
Oh, don't say that. Mm-mm. Look, man, let's get into a check-in question. I don't know how you did the intro and how you feeling, and
I just talked about how you niggas wasn't here. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fine. You know, every day is a great day for me.
First of all, that ain't what you gonna be doing, because I was already here. I was in the background, swinging in the background.
I was talking for like 2 minutes before you got here.
Well, listen,
I was talking long enough for the people to start commenting and saying it's the Amber remix.
Oh, y'all want me to leave? All right.
You're so funny. You're so dramatic.
You want me to leave? Hey, you didn't see the little kid who said, "I'm running away," and the mama said, "All right, go ahead." And she's standing by the door hoping the mama call her back.
She said, no, she didn't call her back. That was funny as hell.
And then I think there was a little white boy who literally was really doing it, and he was trying to walk. He was trying to leave the house with a suitcase, and his daddy actually had to stop him because his ass he was about to start walking. I think he knew how to get the nana house. But this check-in question, the other Josh says, how do you provide a Afrocentric know yourself education to the youth without overwhelming their current workload? And I can post this up in the chat too.
It feels academic.
You feel like that's an academic question? I mean, I guess. But don't you work with young people in the streets?
I do. Love our little YN Academy.
You got a YN Academy?
We do. Our BLM chapter, calling the YN Academy, but it's basically just, young niggas we organizing.
So let's see if we people in the chat, y'all can answer this too. But what, you don't have an answer for this? Or would you say I don't even teach people no African Senate?
No, I'm not a teacher though. Like I cosplay one on TV, but I'm not a teacher for real. I mean, I guess we're all teachers in our own right. Realistically, we're all teaching someone something, and they're all learning something from us. But yeah, it's not something I do like for a job,
Well, I do know a teacher. I met this teacher from Miami one time, and he'd be down there. I think he used to teach Rick Ross. So everything that Rick Ross know, he's responsible for that. And then I think he teach at this high school of ex-Cuban losers, and he's trying to teach them to overthrow the government of Cuba. So that's why he never been on the Cuba delegation. But without further ado.
No, absolutely not. Rick Ross is before my time, or what should I call him? What was he called by Congresswoman Frederica Wilson and the General Consul of Israel, Officer William Leonard Roberts II? That guy. Peace. Good morning, y'all.
What's up, man? So
Hi, Josh.
The question.
How you doing?
My brother Kai kind of helped out a little bit with this question that I thought, but the reality is I actually started answering the question before I got to the last part. And so what's their current workload? Like school assignment workload, and what age range regarding youth? So I don't know if Josh clarified that question. And I don't know if you have more of a context, Lorik, of this question, but I thought it was like their course load and the work that they're doing now, And that's a really good question, because I do feel like even so, I'll be teaching a course this semester, and I've talked to a lot of the students before, some of the students before they will even take the class, and I know the type of work they be doing, and I feel like the stuff that I'm going to be assigning them is going. It seemed like it'll be overwhelming, but I mean, again, I don't know how the question is being asked. Lord, do you have any idea about the workload, course load?
I think the question is more being asked as to how we supplement the general education that our youth are going to receive, probably in public schools, charter schools, wherever, provided you don't have the privilege of an Afrocentric school, like Zenzi says, do drama school, for example, in your area, which is going to be most of us. So I think that ends up being the thing, because it always kind of becomes this, I think, personal responsibility narrative in our society. Like, well, it starts at home, which true, absolutely. But it's, beyond you, your parents, like Amber just said, not everyone's an educator. So it doesn't mean that your parents have all of this information. Mine certainly didn't, even if they had some of the right instincts. So I think that's kind of the question, is where do we go to add things? For me, I had the privilege of my church and we had a Black History Bowl, but to some degree, even that, like the ideology and orientation toward it changes it a little bit, right? So it would still be that general approach to Black history of like firsts, the first Blacks that we talk about, first Black lawyer, first Black astronaut, first Black, inventor type thing. Mm-hmm. And so even that, I don't think is necessarily an Afrocentric education. But yeah, I think about that a lot. So what books do you offer the students? That's always an important question, especially age-appropriate books, because I love to me is a youth reading list, but some of those things are pretty intense. Wretched of the Earth is not something I think that a 12-year-old can read on their own. Reading wise, brother. I mean, we can do the readability scale, and it doesn't come back.
Well, you talk about like students in the U.S. particularly, like at the level in which they read currently, as you're talking about, but not that it's impossible to be at 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's not impossible. I still think you need guidance. I was a fairly advanced reader. They used to have AR reading. I don't know if y'all had that, where they used to have the numbers on the books to tell you what grade level it was technically. So
yeah.
There would be like a 7.3 if it's a book that's meant for like middle schoolers, that kind of thing. I think Harry Potter starts at like a 5th or 6th grade level, for example. Yeah. And so I was able to read most of those at like the 11 or 12, which meant I could read high school stuff. But the understanding of the content, someone to walk you through some of the more intense concepts even. Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well. So I know this. I've worked with Dr. Sundiata, so I would just recommend ASALA, which is Carter G. Woodson's organization, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. First, I'm going to point out Zenzi's Ujamaa School, which was really dope, because I didn't know they've been around since 1968. I believe they're out of DC, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
There used to be a couple in DC, and then also in New York. The one of the more famous ones. Well, not famous, but noted.
And we have freedom schools, like the Children's Defense Fund. So that was another alternative that I helped teach at. But they have their own.
What do you think about the Children's Defense Fund?
It's better than nothing, but they have their own kind of liberal civil rights orientation toward things. It's kind of grant based as well, which can be a bit problematic. And I wouldn't necessarily call it
around what you're doing.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily call it Afrocentric even. I do think there are African elements infused, like Harambe and the song and the use of that. But it really is, I think, more Christian civil rights oriented toward things. And so a couple things. I want to interrogate your thoughts, Lorick, around what you said, the reading level, and like, so for instance, who says it's a 7th grade reading level? What does that even mean? That's a part side. But
how I thought to answer the question is it might kind of lead into a conversation around African-centered schools, independent schools versus
Mm-hmm.
trying to struggle within the arena right now, like Black studies.
Montessori school in there in the mix.
Yeah, like the Black studies programs in colleges, did they start their own college or did they struggle within arena or whatever? So I think like applying a lens to what students are already learning. Jacob Carruthers talk about this a lot by questioning like who's history, who's political science, because like you're gonna take a class that says this thing and be like, who's according to what narrative, and then so there's a couple things. So you already know in schools, y'all ever seen this little let me get it.
Damn, you typing hard as hell, ain't it?
Who that? Lord.
Why you looking for it? Thanks, Ashley Knuckle. She said, Amber, your hair is cute. Appreciate you, girl.
That wasn't me typing. But so y'all ever seen this little meme where the animals are judged? Where's the thing at? The animals are judged according to, I can't find it for some reason.
Like their height and stuff?
No, like it pretty much said that, like, can y'all see this?
Yes.
So damn, I pull up. But it says everyone for a fair
click on the little bigger thing in the corner.
I'm sorry, say what?
Click on the thing to make it bigger in the corner.
What thing?
Never mind.
I ain't logged in. But you can't see that? How about now?
Maybe zooming.
It's just small, nigga.
How about now?
We can see it, but it's a little hard if you could zoom in with your actual screen, that might help.
I'm zooming in. Is that zoomed in?
No.
I guess not.
God,
I can pull it up though. You search.
Oh, I see what's happening. It's not sharing the right thing. I'm sharing.
Oh, and I love this example. I know where you're getting at. It's also an African proverb.
Yeah, my bad. I should have been sharing this one.
There we go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is like for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And so obviously, the bird gonna fly up there. The monkey can. That's not gonna do it.
The penguin is cooked.
Yeah, but the elephant is cooked too. Like he might pull up on the tree up, like pull shit down. The fish ain't doing it. The seal can't do it. The dog, that nigga scared. Right?
That's a wolf.
Oh, that's a dog.
It looks like a wolf.
Wolves don't have collars. That's somebody.
Is that a collar?
That's your revolutionary dog right there. But so there's always like I don't know. I think there's a site of struggle. What students are already doing, and then help them critique and struggle through the things that they're already learning, see themselves in, get an understanding of like. So a lot of things are already there. For instance, when I told y'all I was in Throsneck, the people in the, like my cousins and my aunt who live in that building, they understand that they're being exploited as tenants. And they cool with everybody in the building. In fact, when you walk into the building, you will see liquor bottles with paying homage to people who died. And they all gather around and talking, whatever. Like, so they already have some level of awareness, and trying to teach them about Karl Marx is probably not gonna make sense. But teaching them about their situations and then tie it back to Karl Marx will probably make more sense. So yeah, I wonder what y'all think around the struggle with starting independent stuff, which again, sometimes, the schools are charging people, parents and students to come to it while they're also paying taxes into like a public education system where they have all the damn resources, buses, classes, whatever. Not to say that they all have good resources sometimes, but they normally have more resources than you would at your house or you would trying to charge somebody for. So I wonder if
that's true.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a good argument from y'all perspective over which one. But then go work still when you get a chance. Please answer that question around like the grading. Who says this is a third grade level, and how is it determined and things like that?
Yeah. First off, Amber, I love the YN Academy idea. By the way, I've had a whole conversation around that term and why I think it's something that we should struggle with in our communities and stuff. But I think there are a few questions in there, Geechee. So I think there is a technical skill to reading, particularly in any language, right? Any written language or spoken language, even if you have a way of writing it down. So AR, I just wanted to go into the history of that because I don't have issue necessarily with those things. I do think there's obviously cultural dimensions to anything, right? But when we're talking about a certain technical skill, it's meant to encourage reading and reading comprehension in particular. So the way they had that system set up was with rewards. So you finish a book, they would quiz you on the book to test certain basic understanding, like who are the characters, what is the plot,
Mhm.
what's the main idea, that kind of thing, which you do need to have no matter what you're reading. So I think that's one thing. And then you would get points, and then those points could be cashed in so that you could play games or do all sorts of things. I just think that basic kind of reward system for children is healthy. I don't have too much of a problem with it. But of course, we do want to know how this stuff is calculated. So just briefly, I can share my screen. Just the quick AR search, of course, it was developed by Renaissance Learning. So of course, we want to look into who those people are, what are their, incentives and goals and all that. But it was launched by educators Judy and Terry Paul, one of the first computerized reading management programs originally running on quizzes running on floppy disks, which some of our young folks might not know what those things are. Early versions of AR primarily relied on older generalized indices like the Flesch-Kincaid readability formula. So that was what I was going to say. There's the formula that you can use when you are using a Word document or whatnot, where you highlight whatever you wrote, and it can kind of spit back at you how advanced it is compared to our typical K through 12 scale. So then the question is, well, where does that come from? The ATOS reading score is a readability formula, uses full text computer scans of entire books to determine estimated US grade level. So they just have to set a baseline level saying we think that the average third grader can read this based on our testing. Because they have access to a massive amount of data, which is what our alternative schools do not have access to, not saying they couldn't produce something better if they did. I do find them somewhat reliable. So they ask a massive amount of data based on where the education system even is. So if our education system is poor, then it's going to maybe underrate how much a third grader can actually do. And it's based on things like the average word length, the average sentence length, vocabulary grade level, and then book length. And so I think that alone is just a basic thing. It's not the end all be all, but it is somewhat useful. And so I would just start there with why it's being rated the same way. And if we raise the reading level in a certain place, then yeah, I wouldn't say that Harry Potter's a fifth grade thing. Maybe it's something that you can do in second grade. But then there's also reading disabilities and all that. So that's just the first thing. I've been talking for a second. Amber, did you have any thoughts or feedback about your reading journey?
No, I thought the question was going to be more fun.
Fair enough. I will close it then with the Freedom School piece. So I think Kai already raised in the chat. There's definitely a distinction between the Children's Defense Fund, Freedom School, the Freedom Schools that they claim they're basing themselves off of, and then Liberation Schools. And so when I was in the Children's Defense Fund Freedom School, I was a part of that. It's a brief part of their history. They do model themselves after the Mississippi Freedom Summer Project of 1964, which brought college students from around the country to Mississippi to secure justice and voting rights for Black citizens. These early freedom schools aimed at keeping Black children and youth safe, giving them rich educational experiences that were not offered in Mississippi's public schools. Now, this is a way to tell the narrative. It goes on to say it opened 2 sites in 1995, so this is well after the civil rights movement, to address the needs of children who lacked access to high-quality literacy programs during the summer. And so that was mostly how it was introduced to me. Just like Bob Moses with Freedom Summer is different than the Bob Moses Algebra Project, which is more in line with like state-based algebra standards and things of that nature. So it became more focused on the how and not the why, which is what I talk about with radical things all the time. If you're not focused on teaching the how and the why, you just teach literacy skills absent the context. So my understanding of Mississippi Freedom Summer, based on my study, is it was a very radical project. In a lot of ways, it mirrors the things that people are obsessed with in Pedagogy of the Oppressed, for example, or the Cuba Literacy Campaign project, in that it was tied to actual consciousness raising. It was very grassroots. Like these students were living in the homes with sharecroppers in the
Yeah.
community. They were living in bunks and churches and things like that. They were facing violence. So their education for the workers was like how to avoid the Klan, how if you're riding with a Black person, you might have to put a blanket over yourself and hide in the back of the truck. And voting was explicitly illegal. So similar to how there's a revolutionary process and people are going into the countryside and teaching peasants and farmers how to read, and they're teaching them in the context of revolution. Because when they're learning these terms, if you look at the Cuba Literacy campaign, they're learning terms in terms of the revolution, which people call it indoctrination. But that was what was happening in the freedom schools as well. They're learning, hey, you're going to learn how to read because you also need to learn about voting. And you also need to learn about your history and things like that. I'll close with Baba Akinyele's book, We Wish You Back, which is interesting because it talks about how the NAACP and certain leadership in mainstream civil rights orgs started pushing back when they didn't go, I wouldn't say Afrocentric, when they went more revolutionary nationalists. And when Baba Muhammad Ahmad and his comrade went into the South and started teaching Black nationalism and African history and all of those things, in addition to the literacy skills, that was when it was like, whoa, hold on. And so they got pushed out. So there's a reason that it took this trajectory that it exists in now, which is when I taught, it was more focused on, hey, you're going to get kids in a room, you're going to teach them how to read, you're going to give them their own personal library, which is cool and all, but it was really just focused on the skill of reading, absent any sort of political context. And so that's, I think, the differences we have to think about when we talk about these. And then Josh says, Amber, next time, a fun question. So.
Thanks, Josh. I just want to say thanks to Bad Biscuits for the $4.99. She said, poor Amber on here with Tech Challenge non-fun older folks like on Monday's show and today. Just kidding. Love y'all.
You were trying to hold that down. I did see.
At least y'all plight.
Sankofa and all that as well. We do have Black and African centered scholars like Amos Wilson, who I know Geechee's read in depth. Jawanza Kunjufu, who's one of the reasons my little brother is named Jawanza. All of those things. I will still continue to point out that we have to also read them in an ideological struggle. And so that is the only reason why I still think you need guidance, even if you have the technical skills to read something. If you don't have somebody walking you through the struggles, the tensions and things like that. Jawanza Kunjufu, for example, has some what I'd say are very outdated ideas around Black boyhood that we could examine. Amos Wilson, you can outline your sorts of things. But in general, well, there's actually instead of reading, I could show there's a really good interview on public television with Huey Newton, Jawanza Kunjufu, and another brother who I forget. And you can kind of sort of see a little bit of the benevolent patriarchy that seeps in. I mean, Huey Newton even falls into some eugenics traps by saying that he believes that to survive slavery, like, we bred the strongest among us. And so that's, well, kind of like we're superhuman, which is how white people say, that's why y'all are in the NBA and that's why y'all are so good at sports, is because you are in the slave plantations, you were bred to be strong and all that. That's not the time scale human evolution works in. I promise you, it can't be done in a few hundred years, and it certainly was not done during chattel slavery, where we were bred like cattle. So it's obviously stuff that people are working through. And so I just would say we have to go through and update those things, but they do provide a solid foundation. Malefe Asante has some things with Afrocentricity. Even Karenga, if you see his interview with Dr. Sundiata on here, in their text, they talk about learning Swahili. They talk about the Adinkra symbols. They talk about having an African-centered view of history, so putting your people and your people's history front and center compared to when you go to school and learn about George Washington as your founding father. All of those things are completely valid. But there is a lot of idealism in there as well. And then, as I said, Muhammad Ahmad would push you toward the revolutionary nationalism conclusion, which has things like, the socialism, the big scary words in there, challenging, not just putting your African culture front and center, but also challenging directly how the U.S. education system has imposed its way on you. And you can have African-centered schools that don't necessarily do that, that aren't examining. So we would, for example, in Revolutionary Nationalist course, like the Panthers, we would read the European scholars too. We would read the white history too, so that we could critically examine it and explain why it's wrong, what it's trying to teach you, how it's trying to impose. And so I wouldn't necessarily have something that's African-centered that removes those elements. We could still read some classic, Catcher in the Rye, boring ass European texts, only to examine them and then challenge ourselves with African text and then new African texts like Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou and all that kind of writing.
So I know we're supposed to lead the topic, but I wonder if I read this book a while ago called Family Literacy, and how people even judge literacy based off of your ability to read as opposed to your ability to like understand what you're reading. So for instance, they talk about how reading the newspaper, reading instructions on food and all these other things are also part of literacy. And really, like, to me, it seems like you're in dialogue. So I hear you say like you need guidance, but I feel like even as an adult, like that's why study groups are more effective than you reading a book by yourself. And it's not that you necessarily need guidance, but like you're in dialogue about something somebody wrote that probably somebody said before, but then they wrote it. So it's like, I don't know. I wonder if there's a way to like, I don't know, change the conversation around literacy, but like, yeah, they're very, there's very intelligent people, especially whatever language they speak, that struggle with reading not only particular languages, but the way in which niggas arrange words. Like sometimes people arrange words that makes no fucking sense and just get to the point, right? So, yeah.
Especially Southerners.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned in the chat, which I really appreciated, something like this. Okay, so this is what I would mean. We read a passage in Capitalism and Slavery by Eric Williams on settlers not manuring soil, and do a soil analysis to see difference using their senses on if settlers versus Africans and how they care for the land. So I think that kind of experiential learning, which gets, taken up in wealthy private schools like Montessori's, is the kind of thing that African-centered schools, even freedom schools to some example, bring back, right? So there are African ways of existing in classrooms, not exclusive to Africa. I always point out Montessori schools were actually invented for poor Italian peasants. But just like with everything, rich white people take it and commodify it, and they realize that their rigid systems aren't good anymore. So they create their own privatized systems to do the same shit. So I would see this as an example. I also think the idea of age grades, this idea that if you're 8, you have to be in this grade and doing this subject and all of that, that's all very much a product of the Industrial Revolution, trying to standardize education so you can standardize workers for the labor force, right? But it doesn't make any sense. There are 6-year-olds, like I just said with my reading, I was more advanced at reading and was able to read at a higher level, which is why they wanted me to just skip grades. But that doesn't mean socially I was more advanced. That doesn't mean any of those things. So the idea that you have to be a specific age and a specific grade, even that can be challenged, right? A 13-year-old, however quick it takes you to learn something, if it takes you 4 years to learn algebra, that's cool. Then you shouldn't be shamed for being in that age grade. Some people can learn an instrument faster than another person. So the way freedom schools at least were organized, it was more like an age group. So I had everyone from like 10 to 14 essentially in my class. And then the 14-year-olds, because they were somewhat more mature, could also help nurture the 10-year-olds in certain ways. And so that would be another way you could break the thing. So you could do experiential learning. We're going to go in the field one day after we read about soil. You're going to plant something. You can play with the soil, that kind of thing. And then also the social organization of the classroom. Instead of having to pay a TA, for example, the 14-year-olds in the class were responsible for looking after the 10-year-olds. The 10-year-olds, when they had to go to the bathroom, 14-year-olds were the line leader. At the same time, you gave the 10-year-olds responsibility to lead certain things, regardless of how old everyone was. So I think all of those kinds of practices are really important. But again, someone asked, could I expand on the idealism? Sure, I would check out Molefe Asante versus Kwame Ture in that debate on Pan-Africanism. I think that's one way you can examine it. I think reading Baba Abdul Al-Kalimat versus Baba Karenga's book on Black Studies, where I see a very cultural nationalist focus in Karenga's stuff. It's very much focused on if we get our culture together, that's how we get our African rhyme right, that's how we win. And Al-Kalimat, while infusing all of the cultural elements, he's more dialectical about where does culture come from? How is our culture as new Africans different? What is social structure? What is the economic base that determines our social structure, which I think is a more complete way of looking at it. I also think this is a really good thing since we've been discussing gender-based violence and patriarchy, feminism lately. It's called The Black Woman, 1970. It's a really cool documentary, and there's a panel of women, and they're kind of talking about how to deal with the Moynihan report, white social scientists claiming Black women are neutering the men or something like that, castrating the men. And there's a sister who almost looks like a 1970s gender studies hippie. And I don't say that pejoratively, it's just true. And she's focused on the social structure, talking about how we have to understand where Moynihan's coming from, understand the colonizer psychology. And then Amina Baraka is more focused on the culture. And she's like, we just have to get our minds right. And we have to be nationalist in our nature and all of that. And while I appreciated her point, I would say, you know what, do we have time? Can we air it? It's not long. I have the exact timestamp if you're cool with that, Geechee.
We know you want to show it so bad, so go ahead.
I do. Time, but I'm not going to lie. After you finish, I really wish I could just pull Zinzi, Chinimacha, and Cherie on the screen and have a broader conversation around, because they just made some powerful things that I was going to go to, but definitely let's
sure. Yeah. I mean, I love that, and we need some remix guests. So this is I said Joan Morgan, I meant Joan Harris. So this is the Afro-Marxist 1970, The Black Woman. Again, how we can teach, showing primary source documents, having kids work through things like this, documentaries, and have discussions rather than just pop quizzes and rote memorization and that kind of thing. So it's 1970, The Black Woman on Afro-Marxist. Again, I'll put the links and sources in the show description, but highly recommend we check this out. So.
A group was brought together with as many differences as likenesses, but held together by the common thread of the Black experience. Another institution was added, Sister Lena Horne, who can, from first experience, speak about survival if you are born a woman and Black in this society. Our woman has borne us, nurtured us, and saved our race, and in the process, she often got the worst of it. As a unique institution, the Black woman remains.
I believe the role of a Black woman is to work for a just society, the kind of a society in which children can grow up without fear, in which they can hope. Don't you think so?
Really, to boil it all down, Black woman is the mother of civilization. That adds it up. She is. She's actually the mother, that's it. She's the mother of the earth. She bears forth the fruit, fertilize the soil.
I agree.
I agree. I think we have overlooked the fact that Black women have been for the white nation. They have sucked us dry. That we have nursed the children, we have fed them, we have done everything, put all our energies, all our work into working for the white family. And now it's time for us to take all our strength, all the strength that Moynihan says we have. We're supposed to be the strongest women anyway. It's time for us to take all our strength, all our milk, all of that, and put it into working for the Black nation.
I'd like to touch on something here. I'm glad you brought this up. And I don't know what reaction this is going to get, because a lot of people jump at me when I say it. But unfortunately, all people in this country, Black people and white people, are subjugated to the same system of media, are subjugated to the same systems of communication, are subjugated to the same conditioning. And that's something we definitely have to reckon with if we're going to ever get through any of this stuff. Moynihan, that's sort of the name that's associated with that word matriarchy, definitely has to be dealt with.
I'd like to deal with him
face
to face.
Right. I think that unfortunately, a lot of us, Black men and Black women, believe in the myth of that matriarchy. And I think that belief engenders a lot of negative things. Number one, it says that matriarchy is inferior to patriarchy, which is the whole thing right there. You see that patriarchy is a sort of natural or divine order of things, which is not so. Two, that black men have believed and internalized the myth of white womanhood in this country and Anglo-Saxon impositions, so that they place us in relation to where white women are.
There's two things a woman, I believe, being a black woman and a very proud black woman, can do for a man, make him or break him. And then you take into consideration how the black man has been berated by the white man. His woman, adequately couldn't have the luxuries of another woman born the same just like her. This man has to, black men have stood by for a very, very long time and been humiliated by the system. He can't get the job that this fella can get. You must understand that his wife might have to go on welfare. He has to stay in the humility of that. He has to watch the plumber duck if the welfare worker come in there. You understand me? He has always been made to feel he's below the next man. So you must come, take into consideration. Now black men are learning, that they're part. They're beginning to feel like a man. They're getting their dignity and their pride back. So he needs a woman to keep on pushing it. Vice versa, When you say about, in the system, this system has destroyed actually the black man, because everything that we've ever done, there's no part of this country that you can say, if you touch that a black man didn't bring it in here. Everything that they built, they've never been able to share with it. I don't even want to hear that. What society have done just took our black men and destroyed their manhood. That's what they've done, aid and abetted.
I'm certainly not in disagreement. I'm in 200% agreement with everything you said. I think we all are.
But mightn't it be, we understand that what the brothers are going through now, as you say, the cultural national, but mightn't it all be very revolutionary, and you might be the better woman for understanding that at this point they need you to walk a few feet behind and get their manhood together. So if it takes that, then I'm going to do whatever the brothers need now. I've been doing a lot of research on slavery and talk about wiping out and ripping off a people. They did it to the black man. They did it. And if it takes, at this point, a cultural nationalist say you got to walk 4 paces behind me, baby, slow. If that might be revolutionary, I'll do that. I'm going to do anything at this point that's needed.
Is that revolutionary? How revolutionary is it if one half of us is in condescension and a kind of almost fear saying, walking 10 paces behind you, saying that in order for me to, quote, regain my manhood, I have to deny you your peoplehood.
No.
Is that revolutionary? I think we really have to explore
if somebody
that.
really needs that, I don't. We just have to do whatever we need to do to help these black men. See, that says to me that you
really believe that there has been this thing called a matriarchy that, as Moynihan
I believe we've been ripped off as a people. Black people have been ripped off.
No, we haven't been ripped off.
But you're not dealing with the internal thing that really...
I take that back. Black people haven't been ripped. Black people have been raped of every ounce of human things that's entitled and due another human being.
Right. Do you know how we really can't get this together? Yeah. And really, because to me, this is very alien, and we shouldn't be sitting here talking about defining something which has been defined for us. We should be about redefinition. And I don't particularly care whether I walk alongside, in back of, or in front of. That is going to have to be defined for me by my man. We know too well what our being is all about in the United States of Europe. We have to deal with that. That's why I started out by saying, are we talking about changes within existing systems? Because that's all we're talking about. We're talking about a black nation within a European nation. And if we have to deal with that, then let's redefine our own culture and stop being a subculture. Stop worrying about the man. That's deifying him. Who is the man? you know.
I agree with you. Except, sorry, go ahead, Amelia.
No, I just wanted to mention in terms of cultural nationalism and what, brothers feel. I don't know, if it's all true that brothers would like you to walk 10 paces in back of them. But I do know that we do have a definite role. And until we play our definite role, they cannot play their definite role. Mm-hmm. And our roles are complementary, complete and make perfect that which is imperfect. And that if we go about being the inspiration of the nation, and again, educating the children of the nation, and participating in the social development of the nation, that it would be no problem. And when we say we should not discuss things, we start out to discuss them. Like, why raise Moynihan if he's invalid? Don't raise him. Don't talk about him.
I really believe this very strongly, that as much as we would all like to say that and struggle every day re-examining ourselves to do just that, that we are unfortunately very much a part of that dominant culture. It does affect us. Now, if it didn't affect us, we wouldn't be fighting crackers. And that's the truth of it. If it didn't affect us, we wouldn't get mad about what Mr. Moynihan writes. And if it didn't affect us, certain people would not react to the myth of the matriarchy in the way they do. And that's why it has to be exposed and destroyed. It's not that I really want to spend time talking about Mr. Moynihan. It's that I think that we have to get rid of the illusions, we have to get rid of the poisons, we have to get rid of the lies. And one way to do that is expose it and dissect it.
Another way, if we create a new life, a new value system, and live it as an example.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
That would probably be the best way. Because then people could see it as a living thing and not as a theory. Because what we need to do is to reestablish a new value system. That's what Black people need.
Right,
a value
and how
system
exactly, and how do we go about that?
We go about it the way you go about daily work. First of all, you decide what you want. You establish your values and you start to live it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people in your community, you start talking to your neighbors. You get yourself together first.
Exactly.
Then you get your community together.
We're in agreement.
Then you get your neighborhood together.
We're in agreement.
Right. And
Word.
They actually are all in agreement with a few weird limitations in some spaces where people said things, but I felt like if they continue the dialogue, it seemed like they would struggle unity.
I'm glad I was able to give it with example. So thank you. So decolonizing your ass, so you could see some of the idealism in this is cultural nationalism versus revolutionary nationalism. And so
which is both important. Like it's like the analysis.
I think revolutionary nationalism subsumes cultural nationalism, but focuses on a lot of what Joan Harris was saying. Because the entire time I'm hearing what the other sisters are saying, I agree deeply with all those things. In fact, when they say we're a nation within an empire like that, that means something then. So then everything Joan Harris is saying has to be foregrounded. And this is what Walter Rodney talks about when we talk about building a revolutionary culture. How you have to understand what has been done to you as you are building something. You can't just, we have to decide what is right. Well, when you do that, that is how, for example, you end up with this gender essentialism. Men and women are two separate beings, two halves of a whole, complementary roles. Well, how is that? You can easily see how that reinforces patriarchy, whether you want it to or not. You have to challenge that logic in the first place and question where it comes from. Part of that means examining Africa scientifically and talking about how Africa is a gigantic continent with thousands of cultures and languages and things like that. So I'm hearing Joan Harris, but what I'm seeing is a lot of pushback to her points of view, even when she's not disagreeing with them. But this idea is like, if he's not valid, don't raise him. Don't raise Moynihan. That's not how that works. We live in this society. Moynihan is going to be embedded in how we move. And then what's going to be more confusing, like Jared always talked about with Black buying power, is that Black people who are reactionary, Black people who are being indoctrinated are going to swallow these views and then regurgitate them without crediting Moynihan. And so you're going to actually have Black people saying white people talking points and then acting like it's natural to Black people. And so that's why Joan Harris's perspective rings so true to me, because I don't hear anything she's saying. She's saying, I completely agree with everything y'all are saying. But I could see our people, and I have, because I've used this video in education before, kind of being seduced, right? Because look at how Joan looks. She's got the straight hair. She's lighter skin. Like I said, she's kind of dressed like a hippie in some ways, whereas the other sister is dressed in African garb. Amina has her natural hairstyle, her beautiful braids, and those things like that. And so that is why I see the cultural element is so important. But at the same time, it has its limitations. And so that's what I was trying to emphasize, but nothing can do it better than historical record. So I just always appreciated that. And yeah, like you said, Geechee, I think if they kept struggling together, they would have eventually arrived at some synthesis. But I do think there was a lot of pushback to Joan's point of view, when it was the point of view that I think puts the edge to revolutionary nationalism.
Amber, any thoughts or any response?
It's been a very male-centered morning.
Ooh.
I thought the video was interesting. I do agree that they were kind of pushing back on the lady, even though she was saying similar things. And I do think that people tend to be more combative to people who look a certain way, which I think is a deeper thing. But I did feel like they were saying similar things. Some of the shit they were saying, I was like, but then they would kind of get back on track. So it was interesting.
You raised the critique, so I'm going to ask you to ground it, Amber. How has it been a male-centered morning?
Yeah.
What?
You said it's been a male-centered morning, so that's a critique. So I would like you to ground it. And that I'm ignoring the chat.
I don't think it was a critique necessarily.
Okay.
I think that is a critique. It should be a critique. It comes off as a critique because I mean, I yeah, if it is, then we definitely want to wrap that up. But
no, I think you guys kind of just took over a little academically for a second there. But you know, I think it's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, so you meant an academic? Because you're not equating males with academic, because niggas ain't academic.
No, I'm talking about you guys, our men.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was gauging the topic, but I did have some notes, and I'll defer though.
What are your notes?
I think that a lot of things that it was saying, again, it was connected. I don't know which one of y'all mic, the voice feed through the mic, but so I'm curious about the things that they said around roles, and there was a lot of, I guess, reactions to that. But like, when the first person said our role is to work for a just society, I'm just not sure that that's not every oppressed person's role. I mean, and how you do it, the methods that you use to do it. The second person said, you know, Mother Earth, Mother of the Earth, fruit of the soil. Like, again, we can argue that the Black woman births everybody, and I mean, it's true. Like, the labor, the capitalists know it. That's why they use the Black woman to birth workers, and you know, and then the third person reinforce what the second person and the third and the first person say. But then when they start talking about destroying manhood and womanhood, then it sounds like manhood and womanhood is a cultural tool that adapts by any means necessary, and that's something that people have to, groups and cultures will have to distinguish between. How do we need men to show up in this space? How do we need whoever to show up in this space or whatever? So, like I said, I think that conversation is. I really like the sister and the elder in the white head wrap. And yeah, I just think if you struggle with all their analysis, they can come up with kind of what I text Josh in terms of like the conference. They can come up with a succinct argument or statement that encompasses what they're struggling for, and then, you know, where they're going to struggle towards. So that's all I have.
I think that the term matriarchy even is something that should be examined in terms of etymology. So a lot of this has been questioning where our framing comes from, which is why I was centered on Sister Jones' points about where are we getting these ideas. She says we bought into the myth of white womanhood. Again, like people who had a revolutionary background, I would say, like Angela Davis and Women, Race, and Class, examine a lot of this. They still are African-centered, but then they trace us through, as New Africans, our journey from pre-colonial Africa to slavery in the New World until the modern urban capitalist landscape we live in. But the term archy means rule. And so I don't think that matriarchy is even a thing per se. And I think when we talk about how Europeans, for example, view anything that is an adjective attached to what they already do, it's always seen as just a flipped version, right? It's the same thing, but with a different wrapper on it. So when they talk about Black nationalism, they think white nationalism, but that's not what Black nationalism is. And so they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, Black nationalism is just, you guys want to be racist like the Klan and da 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 da, and you all just want to take over and dominate white people. No, that is a very white way of thinking about nationalism. And so I think that is the limitations of their logic. Similarly, when I've seen white depictions of a matriarchal society, examples I give in pop culture are like Futurama, when there's that episode where they all go to that woman's world. And it's like they're just all these Amazon women who just dominate men and just use them for breeding and the servants and that kind of thing. There's a similar episode of Rick and Morty where they go to a women-run planet and it's just the same thing. That's the same logic I'm saying. So a lot of European construction is that, oh, matriarchy would just be like patriarchy, but women. But that doesn't make any sense. And so even the term archy, meaning rule, is questionable. I've heard people say matrilineal societies. I've heard people say matrifocal societies, but matriarchal, I think, is a thing. Similar to how we could say polygamy, which is about spouses, wives, right, is ownership of other women, compared to polyamory, which by its own words is about relationships, love between multiple people. So I would just, even using Latin, you know, European etymologies, break down what these words mean and how they're being used. But
I would just say, because I was reading the chat, I don't want people to think that I feel like I'm being interrogated or bullied or anything. I was just pointing out what I felt, what I noticed in the moment. I'm fine though. There's no like animosity. We're friends. We're probably all closer than y'all are to each other in the chat. So we're fine. I was just pointing it out. I do feel like some of the stuff y'all are talking about is kind of going over my head because you started using words that were really big, which I think is why people were asking y'all to define some things. So I just think we should be mindful of some of the language we're using sometimes because it kind of gets a little in the weeds. But I do think the video was more helpful to understand what y'all were trying to say. But the video was also male-centered. So I still agree with what I said before.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because they talk so much about men in the video.
We also don't know the question that they were responding to. So a lot of times with clips, it's really difficult to judge something based off of, like, you don't even know what the hell they was just saying before or why the question was. And it seems like they were, I mean, I don't know, it's an all woman panel. So it seemed like that wasn't the only conversation that they was having.
But I see, yeah, and it actually starts there. It goes on. I skipped the cultural offering at the beginning. And then there's more. There's an interview with, I believe, Lena Horne about her activism and stuff. So it does shift. And then the sister with the head wrap, whose name is escaping me right now, also is somebody whose politics I very much align with. She's a part of a Harlem organization that was fighting drug use in the community. That was the sister with the fur coat who says that we've been ripped off and raped of our culture and that kind of thing. But yeah, absolutely, Amber. I think it was just because it was focused on that specific point. And yeah, I do see that as male-centered. I'm also out the chat now, so I'm only focused on us on the stage. And we got some news. I know you already started covering some stuff.
Well, kind of.
I mean, Amber was talking about the Cheyenne Bryant discourse, which I thought was interesting. But are we ready to get into some news? All hearts and minds clear?
Yeah, next time we probably circle back to some of those comments because I think it'll just prolong. We already had an hour into that. So
Yeah, and I can ground the conversation a lot better, Emery. Yeah, you're right. That's why I would usually start this with some sort of documentary, some check-in questions. Even letting it run like that, I'd usually pause after each person spoke and have people like write their reflections and talk and stuff. But I wanted to let it run through all the way. But let's get into some news if y'all ready. Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Friday Remix. Amber, Lorick, and Geechee. Thanks for tuning in. And also, thank you, Baba Jamil. It was Martha Davis. That was the sister's name that I was thinking of. So we got some stories. One that I've seen this trend a lot of talking about the generational differences. So maybe this comes up in the YN Academy, Amber. But what do we hear when we talk about Gen Z? And they're not doing this. They're not buying diamonds. They're not buying houses. They're not having kids. So Americans say they are dating less as the average cost of a night out exceeds $200. So I'm already curious about where this is going. But let's read a little bit about the story. So basic economics class often covers the movement of prices, inflation, deflation, and stagflation. Now there's a new term, dateflation. Okay. The average cost of a date. Oh my goodness, the ads. Okay. The average cost of a date in the U.S. is now $189, according to a survey from BMO's Real Financial Progress Index. That's the total bill. It includes everything from the money that's spent on pre-date grooming to the cost of transportation. That's a 12.5% increase from the average of $168 dollars in 2025. The pace of that increase is notable. So thank you to Paywall as they speak about why we can't afford things. I do not want to pay for a trial for one article. So I think we're going to have to stop here unless I can find the archive. Okay, but what are you guys thinking about this discussion? Dates cost more now. That's why people are dating less. Is that think that's a fair analysis?
I don't know because I don't be going on super expensive dates, but I'm also not going on cheap dates either. So I don't know. I think it depends.
That was my initial thought as well.
They also I'm also not like getting professional makeup done for like dates and stuff like that. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So
right, they said pre-date grooming is a part of it. I'm like, okay, so are we including transportation as well? I don't do
different grooming ahead of like dates. That's weird.
Yeah, I'm confused about so the gas I put in my car, is that going into the date cost? Because if gas is up, then yeah, date costs are going to go up. So I would be curious about their methodology here. But yes, things are generally more expensive. But I also think, like you said, what is an expensive date? If you guys are going out to a restaurant, like the classic thing, a dinner and a movie, then that's just going to depend on the prices.
Oh, I don't be doing both of those. I be doing one or the other sometimes. Usually, if I go to the movies, I get dinner at the movies because the movie theater has like restaurants in it, and they deliver the food to you. So I'll be doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's even a change too. But yeah, even that's now that price keeps creeping up over the.
I don't think that's a change. When I was in middle school, they had a theater downtown. They used to have a restaurant in it and would deliver the food to you.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a thing here for a long time. It was like the big thing to do in Memphis. When we was in middle school, everybody was going to see Akilah and the Bee. I remember it vividly. And I said, I need my $15 so I can get my chicken tender combo. They're going to deliver to me in the theater while we all sitting there. I was geeked up.
Y'all were advanced. We had Cinemark, we were fancy if you asked them to stop the popcorn halfway through so you could put the butter in it and then go back and fill up the rest of the popcorn. We have that delivered to your seat. But now it's like Cine XD and all sorts of places that do that. But sounds like you had that early in Memphis. We're just getting it in Miami. We had a drive-through or drive-in theaters as well, that kind of thing. But even
We have
those are going up.
too.
Okay, I found it. Thank you, Wayback Machine Jesus. Inflation is quickly overtaking cost of living increases. Huh? The U.S. annual inflation rate reached 3.3%, 12 months ending in March, up 2.4%, according to the Labor Department data. Younger generations such as Millennial and Gen Z saw the largest increase in date night costs. Millennials now spend an average of $252 on dates, up 32%, while Gen Z spends $205, up from $194, and 50% of Gen Z and 40% of millennials say dating costs are getting in the way of their financial goals. Interesting. The shift may reflect a change in mindset. Younger generations may be spending more because they're seeing it as an investment and thinking about returns. This is shaky methodology, yo. Quincy Yang, the CEO of the dating app Coffee Bagel. Well, that's a change. Is definitely the dating app scene. Previously told Business Insider the money and economics are huge considerations for Gen Z. Now you need dual incomes to afford just a median condo or house. You need to have a pretty good job. You can't slack off too much. So this is just saying that the cost of living is going up. So everything costs more. So dates cost more. So okay, I think we get the idea. Then they make a dating guide for those looking for low option costs. I was going to say, like, what are the the cheaper dates you all go on, so that you don't have to pay $250 on a date? Just curious.
I wonder where they going that cost that much, because I do be going on dates and they don't be $250. Like, they be like 50 to 100, but they not 250. Like, where are y'all eating at? Like, I don't know. And honestly, the most expensive one I went on, like recently, like in the last few months, was because we was taking shots, which made it more expensive. But I really feel like, other than that, it was Saturday. I turned up on a Saturday. But I really feel like these costs is inflated, or maybe where they're at is more expensive, because also the South is cheaper, except Miami. But like the South, the real South, is cheaper.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also think it depends on what you're doing on these dates. From what I've heard, the most common date, at least if you're doing the stereotype of dating apps, is a coffee date. So I don't know how on earth you're running up $250 on a coffee date. I just do not see it.
I ain't never been on a goddamn coffee date. I wish a motherfucker would ask me on a coffee date.
The coffee date is the safe. I hear it as like the safe place for people to meet. It's not too much of a commitment. Like, I feel like if you're doing a whole date night, your whole night might be kind of cooked. Whereas a coffee date, you can be like, okay, am I rocking with this person? And then you can decide how you want your day to go. If you guys want to go on a walk after, if you guys want to go to a museum or something like that, you can extend the date, but it's just a good way.
The museums be free.
That's what I'm saying. You can extend the date after exactly. It's another point. Like, I'm confused again. Like, how do you not understand that these places are free?
I've only gone on one date with someone where we went to a museum. They had to pay for it, and the museum was expensive. I ain't gonna hold you. Them tickets was like $60 for both of us.
What museum?
It was a national. I mean, it was a National African American Music Museum in Nashville.
Oh, okay. Is that like a permanent fixture in there?
Mm-hmm. It's been there for a few years. Because I went it wasn't recent. I went like a year ago.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to do cheap dates. I think
it's a nice and it's interactive. Like, you can freestyle in there. They got like a recording booth where you can freestyle. I got a video of me freestyling to the West
That's
Coast.
what you're paying for. You're paying for studio time.
That's really what you're paying for. And it's also with a military discount, because they was a veteran. So it's also with a discount. So the ticket is kind of expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, if you
$25 or $28 for an adult, but it is a very, very nice museum. So it's like,
if you all enjoy each other's company, right, then you're just going to want to do the date that's going to be the most enjoyable between the two of you. So I could see a price running up. I have gotten to that kind of price on dates, but it's only usually because I enjoy the person. And they've been willing to invest that much into the date too. So I've had one date turn into like 3 different things, where it was like, we wanted to go bowling, and then we went to eat dinner, and then she was like, I still got time, let's go to a movie. and that was all over Manhattan. So that runs it up. But she was willing to split
Why was you
Ubers and stuff
in
like that.
Manhattan?
Well, we were in Brooklyn at first. It was just a fun day, but I think that's a way that it can run up. But other than that, like you go on walks. I don't really. You buy
Those
ice
aren't
cream.
dates. I don't count those as dates.
Oh, here is. I knew we were gonna get into the discourse.
What?
Why does that not count as a date?
I
Why is getting ice
personally
cream
would
on
not
the wall?
count things that I do every day as a date. Like I walk my dog every day. If someone came with me on that walk, it's not a date. That would mean like the nigga who be reading, he walks his dog every day and he calls me while he's walking the dog. That would mean if I was with him, it'd be a date. That's not a date. It's just normal shit people do.
Oh my God.
I don't consider it a date. I think it'd be different if y'all went on a walk to the park and y'all were having a picnic or something. I think that would be considered a date. But that just feels like an everyday task, like a normal thing that you do. I also think it depends on the person. Like because I have a dog and I walk him every day or go running in the mornings, stuff like that would not be considered a date to me.
Oh, my partner is similar to you. She says like when she would come over, if we watched a movie, I had snacks, we hung out, all of that. She's like, that's a hangout, not a date. And I'm like,
oh, I don't
okay.
agree with that part though, actually.
So see, it's all this is what I mean. What's the
It's different though.
methodology?
It's different though. I feel like spending time with someone doing the everyday tasks they do is not a date. But you plan something, you got a movie, you got snacks. I do think that would be a date. I think there's a distinct difference. If I walk my dog at the same time every day, so you call me at that time or you meet me at that time because you also want to go for a walk, that's not a date. That's just me doing the same thing I do every day.
Which is what I think is getting at with the intentionality of it. Like that's where I think my partner is coming from, even though she's more like quality time on its own does not encompass a date, but it's more like, are we taking the time and planning to do something? I do feel like though, if you have a dog and the person you're dating has a dog and y'all decide to coordinate together to go to a park and walk y'all's dogs together, that is a date. Would you agree or disagree?
Minutes.
Kichi, what are your go ahead?
I think that if we went to the dog park and we walked our dogs to the park, we played with the dogs at the park and hung out, yes, that would be a date.
Okay.
But I've never done that. So I don't think it will be a date.
Okay.
I have walked with someone while they walked their dog because I was just hanging out with them, but that wasn't a date.
No, I agree. I think there has to be a certain degree of intentionality about it. I think
Kim said they be going on dates for free meals at expensive restaurants. I just want to say I go on dates for free meals at any restaurant.
That's hilarious. Also, that's the courting thing. But that gets into the whole 50-50 dating discourse. And I mean, if I'm treating, sure, I've done the whole thing, but I've also talked to partners and been like, listen, we live under capitalism. This is not, I'm courting you. I feel like I wanted to treat you. I invited you out. Sure. It's not a long-term thing. I'm not paying for every single date we go on. Like, and usually it's a fairly understood
I'm not
thing.
doing that.
You never 50-50.
I'm not pulling no money out. The only agreement I have around splitting some money is when I go to the movies with this one nigga. We had this little thing where like he'll buy the snacks and the drinks, or I buy the tickets, or he'll buy the tickets, I buy the snacks and the drink. Honestly, I'd be like, yeah, I do that because I'm gonna run that tab up on them snacks and drinks. So he's spending more money anyway. Yeah, I'll buy the tickets. That's cool. Not a big deal to me. Because he gonna spend more money anyways. I don't mind doing that because I know that the movies can get expensive because it is a fancy. Like the only movie theater near us is like a fancier movie theater. It's only 2 of them, and they're both the fancy ones. The more chill ones are farther away, and I'm not driving 20 plus minutes, so should I do what I gotta do? So I like it, but I mean I'm cool with that. But that's different because that's a special circumstance. I think that's different. What do you think, Ichi? Are you going on dates?
I kind of lost.
Are you going on dates?
Can I answer the first couple questions? I feel like y'all be rapid firing. So one, I don't know if y'all talking about courtship. I saw Brother Jamil said something about court, and I don't know if y'all be dating y'all partners, and it sounds like y'all be just dating lame ass people, or maybe some of us are lame ass. I don't really know what the fuck is going on, but I'm gonna tell you who I feel like. I feel like this brother here, who the second part of his answer is what I feel like.
On your leg, what are you gonna do?
I will let her do what she want to do to me.
You'll let her fart on your leg?
Mm-hmm.
Not that part.
Not that part. Okay.
I guess. Okay. How much are you gonna spend on the first date?
Maybe about 12 hours.
No, how much money you gonna spend on the first date?
Oh, it depends on the price of it.
It depends on the price of it. That's where I'm at.
It depends on the price of what? What? Depends on the price of what?
He said how much you gonna spend. So first of all, like I don't really know what y'all talking about. It sounds like have multiple conversations, but if you want to go to City Winery and watch somebody perform, it might be over $200. But I think it's back to what those elders were talking about on that show. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, what date? Like, I don't. How do you define what is a date again now? Like, what? And how do you get what you define as a date? That's on you. But like, there's different people. For instance, there's a man and a woman, or a man and a man, a woman and a woman, whatever, can both take their dogs out on a walk around the belt line, and they consider that a date. I don't really know what we're talking about. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know how they came up with that study, who they researched, who they surveyed, like what that shit just, I'm confused. But
they listed it. I just didn't like I didn't think that.
I don't.
The source was BMO's Real Financial Progress Index, and then they kind of threw in some Bureau of Labor Statistics stuff in there to talk about cost of living. It was questionable methodology.
Man, listen, if you meet somebody and y'all can spend time with each other for 12 hours, whatever y'all doing, then hey, that might be a good ass date. I don't know. Y'all, hopefully y'all be arguing about shit for 12 hours, because that might be something else.
You're right. Well, I think it's mutuality. I think we're just trying to get the core elements of a date. Like to Amber's point, I think there's an intentionality that has to be set to what qualifies as a date. I mean, I'm clear and explicit. I'm taking you on a date. What if dating had nothing to do with spending money? Yeah, I mean, quality time. But then it's capitalism. Time is money. I spent a whole day where I could have been cleaning my house or doing something else that's socially productive, which is another way of saying like moving my life along. And that costs money. Like I hear you. But I do think it's just about how much you want to invest in another person. And yeah, it's what people find. I think if you genuinely enjoy being around another person, if they make you excited to see them, you did the job. Like, good job. And then you all are just figuring out, negotiating how among your schedules and all of that you want to spend time together. I do think dating or courting, as you're describing, Geechee, is a process of making your partner, see you as somebody that they want to engage with long term. And I think that is a process we're talking about.
So is that manipulation? Is that manipulation?
No, not at all. I think you're showing interest in a person, because I would tailor my dates based on what the person actually wants to do, that we share interest in. I think manipulating is if like Amber talks about the Memphis Museum, and I don't really care about music at all. And what did Obama do? I read Gwendolyn Brooks and Bell Hooks, and I tried to impress the women. Like, that's manipulating.
But I think you pointed out a manipulation line when you be like, well, I'm only spending this because I'm interested. You don't expect this the whole time. I think that would be considered manipulation. Like, you're doing it to get her to like you or him to like you or something. So that sounds like some form of.
I think Amber, maybe I worded it wrong. I think Amber got to it more when she was talking about like, oh, I'll buy the tickets and you get the snacks kind of thing. Just this understanding that like I'm not operating this traditional masculinity that I'm going to buy everything for you. That's just not I just want to be clear on that as in my personality. If you want that and you want to pursue that, cool. I just am saying, like, real clear, my mama worked, the women in my family work. Like, that's just how it was. We trying to survive capitalism. I'm not going to pretend like I got it and that I could just take you out every time and I'm going to just buy bags and all that. So it's going to have to be mutual, is all I'm making clear from the jump. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that for me it has to all be mutual, but I do think that I agree with what Lori says about doing things people are interested in. Like we went to the music museum because I like music, and the nigga that read know I like music, and he likes music too, so that's why he went to the museum. But the guy that I date here knows that I like movies, so we go to the movies a lot. And it's different to me. It's different based off of the relationship. I have dated the guy who lives here longer, so I'm more willing to be like, yeah, we can split this cost because I also know that he has other shit going on. He finna move, and so I don't like want to be a financial burden to somebody. I would never do that, but I am also like understanding and being like, we can just split this thing. And we kind of have this thing going. Like that was kind of our thing for a little while. For like the first few months we were dating, we're like we would split. Like he would do this and I would do this. And then I would like buy certain snacks for him to try. It was like a little thing we had going. So it kind of just sticks. But I do think it depends on the person like that you're dating, like what they're into too. Like it's not just what I'm into. I also see we just broke 200 viewers. Thanks for tuning in. I know you guys just came to see me, which is cool. That's
Speaking
fine.
of date,
hit the like button.
Yeah, that too. But speaking of date, if you know somebody whose date of birth falls within this line of young people, we have a summer program and in Baltimore, so you can share this application with folks. And even if you don't know anybody, I think what you should do is you should buy a t-shirt. You should buy a t-shirt to support the young folks that we are working with this summer in Baltimore. Shout out to Sibo Campbell who allow us to use his words from his book. So yeah,
I'm definitely gonna get me a shirt and a hoodie. Brother Jamil said if I'm in my Adidas, it's a hangout. My Gators though, we on a date.
We on a date, baby.
Period.
OG.
You got that shirt half unbuttoned with the cologne fanning off his neck. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I also agree with Cherie that quality time is cool, but it's not a date. And I do spend quality time with people that I'm dating. Like we just hang out, chill, like nothing crazy. But those aren't dates. And there's also nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with it. It's not a big deal to me. If I had a problem with it, I would say something. I would be like, yeah, no, we have to go on dates every week. I don't feel that way though. I work a full-time job and make content. I'm tired. I don't want to do none of that shit anyways. And that's fine. Some people don't feel that way. And that's their thing, which is fine.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Again, I don't want you to be confused about how this dynamic is going to unfold. Also, if you want that, I want you to pursue that in a relationship. Just like I have certain things I do not want in my relationship, and so if I see them, they're things that I'll probably not want to pursue anymore. So
you should be like me so bad. He picked up they jar so quick.
But and I want to. We have another, some more stories. To close it though, I think one, you're going to want to spend time with this person if you really like them for real. Like that's the main thing. Y'all are going to be actively seeking out ways to spend time with each other. And to the point earlier, Geechee, I'm also trying to impress. You want to be desired by your partner. So that is why I think, yes, I'll put on the Gators as his brother Jamil does. I'll put on that nice cologne that I leave in the back that I haven't used in a while. And I'll step out for real. Be like, oh, that nigga can dress. That's how a date should go. So you can be like, oh, that's my man. That's what I want. So that's why I'll put a little extra dollars on to
effort in there.
So I do think it's the intentionality of it all. But
I do agree with Born Liberated though. Dog walking is not a date. It's doing chores together, which is also okay with me. I call people and body double all the time. Me and that nigga who reads body doubles while he walk his dog.
I thought your dog parks. People don't go to dates at dog parks.
Some people do. This is a
white people do.
Arbitrary.
Well, that's who write the article. I thought we talking about white people.
I'm not doing that. Or like I'll call my friends or somebody I'm talking to and be like, hey, can you talk to me while I do this thing? I do that all the time. But like that's just you doing chores with me. That's not me going on a date with you. And I also agree with Revolutionary Women's Radio. You don't have to go on a date that costs any money. I've definitely been on dates that didn't cost any money. And I think it's actually kind of fun to do stuff like that, to see how much you can do that doesn't cost any money. I don't think the date has to cost money. And I definitely have paid for some. I definitely would trick on a nigga if they're doing the right shit. It just depends, and it's very
Red Lobster.
It's very rare.
You go shout out to the reading brother.
At least Cheesecake Factory.
Red Lobster.
Cheesecake
At
Factory.
least cheesecake.
What? Hey, shout out to that brother getting took out.
So I was at for Mother's Day. Cheesecake.
But I also would pay for some stuff so I can get 3 times points cash back on my credit card, and I did make him cash at me. I said, cash at me. I'm gonna use my credit card because I want these 3 times.
But this
partner is the same way on the JetBlue card. Oh my god!
This is why I'm confused about your date idea, or not being a date by dog, because I thought y'all. I don't have a dog, but I thought y'all who got dogs, they treat them like their children and all those other things. And so, if you got the dude or the girl, whoever, meeting your dog, I thought. I mean, it just sounds like it looks like a date. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, the dog might not like him, and they might not. His dog.
Met my dog.
Y'all courting.
It's a nigga I dated on and off that's known my dog since he was 1. He's known Max since he was a puppy.
Listen, if you like Laura said, if you putting people in a situation to see how they react, when they react, and all those other things, you assessing if you like them or not. And then if you don't like them, you don't like them. If you like them, you like them.
Yeah.
True. I mean, I'm more so assessing if my dog likes them, because one of them has a dog and his dog loves me. Like, me and the dog locked in. But I need to make sure the dog like my dog, because if the dog don't like my dog, then I don't like his dog on. Can't do it.
Yeah, that's and yes, there are lots of. I was actually trying to brainstorm the free dates. I think the museums we talked about are examples. I think going on walks is an example. I think doing anything different, right? Like, and yes, and you don't have to. I can understand if you all will go out of your comfort zone to do certain things as well. Not saying we have to have the same interest too, like you were saying, Amber.
Amber don't know this. Amber, you don't even know where that's from.
With the name in it.
Not at all.
But I mean, at least 2 pair.
Is she take me to something that I've never done before? That could be free. That's cool. If I'm like, yo, I'm gonna show you how to shoot a basketball, and you come and you wear gym clothes and we play basketball, like that can be a date too. It's just something we do together that we enjoy and that is intentional and sometimes out of the ordinary. I think that's where I'm calling it. That's my baseline for it.
I actually agree with Devin on this. Apply marks to your dating, each according to their need, each according to their ability. I might be a communist because I definitely do this. I think this is the best way to do it.
That's right, Devin. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
I do have a story that Lord.
Go ahead. Yeah, drop it.
Oh, I thought you was gonna bring it up. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I didn't know it's already here. Okay. Oh, we on Threads. Lord. Okay. That site scares me so much. Oh my goodness. All right. Threads is Instagram's Twitter, and it has by far some of the most misinformation, but thankfully Amber found us some good info. Oh,
well, I've been doing the community notes on there, and they're fun.
Fisk University. So Fisk is interesting. I was looking at going there after high school.
Don't go there.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
I specifically wanted to share this story because Fisk is announcing this $1 billion transformation, but it's because they're building a data center on the college campus. And they're trying to like hide it in the language and make it sound fancier. They're introducing a quantum leap campus master plan featuring a data and technology center. And if you scroll over past the little pictures, there's a frequently asked questions doc. Do you see that one?
Let me see. If you scroll past the pictures, there it is. There. Okay.
Yeah. So they say, what is the quantum leap 160 years forward? It's Fisk University's 900 million. First of all, they already lying. They said $1 billion. Now they're saying 900 million. See, that's what I'm talking about. Niggas lying. 900 million campus master plan, the most ambitious infrastructure investment in the university's 160-year history, which includes new student housing, a student union, a Fisk arena, an expanded Carl Van Vechten Art Annex, a John Lewis Center for Social Justice Annex, and the Quantum Leap Innovation and Technology Center. Notice how they skipped over explaining what those other places are and only talk about this data center. What is the Quantum Leap Innovation and Technology Center? It's a 100 square foot facility on the southern end of Fisk campus, comprising a 70,000 square foot innovation center and a 30,000 square foot technology and academic center. It is located on 5 acres of previously undeveloped campus land inside the zip code 37208, and the facility's architecture will be reflective of Fisk historic aesthetic in the surrounding community. This is going to be a physical infrastructure that houses the servers, storage, and networks behind websites, financial systems, enterprise software, and increasingly artificial intelligence. Most innovation and technology centers are owned by large technology companies, but this one will be put in the hands of an HBCU, meaning they'll own it. So they're choosing to build this on their college campus, and they're flexing that they're going to be the ones to own it.
Will they own it?
Right, because somebody funding this shit.
Okay, let's keep going. Go ahead, Emperor.
Will this facility strain the community's power or water supply? No, it will be LEED certified and built to operate responsibly within the community's infrastructure, not to burden it. They can't make that promise. That's an unrealistic promise to try to make. Will construction or operations be disruptive? The facility will be designed to be neither loud nor intrusive. It will sit on the undeveloped southern end of campus, and its architecture will complement Fisk's historic campus aesthetic. They just repeating the same shit. The community impact has been a core design consideration from the beginning. What does this mean for Fisk students? Fisk students will have direct access to the academic center and the AI infrastructure within it. New curriculum, research opportunities, and career pathways will be built around the facility. Students graduating from Fisk will carry hands-on AI infrastructure experience that most graduates anywhere in the country do not have. This technology innovation is also a modern complement to Fisk's classic liberal arts education. And I shared it and I said, hell no. And they're getting a lot of pushback in some of the comments too. Like I see more comments saying hell no than I do saying that they're excited about this. I just think that it's always the bougie blacks who want to try to take some shit and be like, well, we're gonna flip it and do better. No.
And there's always this green capitalism that we have to see, where someone will say, "Oh, don't worry, it's what is it on food now that it's ethically grown or something like that,"
Organic.
and they put a leaf on it, and they're like, "Yeah, see, it's green oil." Like, I don't buy it. I'm curious, so I would want to do more research into what LEED certified means. But there's always something that comes around to certify the process and kind of manufacture consent to make it look like it's something better than it is. Maybe it is better with the water, but there's other considerations to a data center. And they're claiming there's
Nashville does not have a good infrastructure to handle something like this. No matter what they said in that bullshit ass frequently asked questions doc, they don't have the infrastructure for something like this. And they have talked constantly about how data centers are harmful because they don't have enough power grid infrastructure in North Nashville, which is the hood. And their infrastructure, like the actual ground, is extremely fragile. They're very susceptible to flooding. But what they gonna do if the shit flood and the whole center get flooded?
Yep. I'm definitely interested in looking more into the story. I do think it gets into what we were saying even at the start, right? With alternatives to schools, right? What is the HBCU? Jared's Not a Different World Project critiques that, toward a Pan-African university. There are all sorts of things that talk about these HBCUs not being these, different worlds, Afrocentric paradises. But even then, these schools lack resources. So I remember going to Fisk and being recruited there. And to what folks were saying in the chat earlier, a lot of the ways they were trying to appeal to me were talking to me like all of these white schools did. Howard, when I went, was like, we're the Harvard of the black schools. And I was like, why wouldn't I just go to Harvard? What? Like, that's a dumbass way of trying to convince me of doing your thing. Go stand on your own merit. Don't compare yourself to the white people. That's weird. And so Fisk was like, very much like, we want you to do this academic stuff. They did sprinkle the history in there, but as Jared said, it was more about their choir and stuff. I'm like, I got a choir back at home. I'm like, I'm not that into the church anymore. So I was not drawn to them because the campus, unfortunately, was so small. Like, I went to their library and it was around the size and tech of my high school library. Granted, I was like at an elite school, but that was like, I was like, damn, I'm going to this school. You go to all these Ivies and it looks like fucking Hogwarts in there in terms of it. So just, I understand why Fisk would feel pressure to do this. I truly do. It sucks. The university is very small. But that's not why we should be telling people
No, like
to go
very
to
small.
these
Like
schools.
Fisk University is literally one block. Like it's extremely,
Yeah.
like literally you can walk right
Tiny.
here to here. That's the school. There's nothing else. Like it's all in one little square. The school is actually very tiny. So them getting this kind of infrastructure improvement is big, but like it's not what people want.
Yeah. Yeah. Brittany, I hear you. It does sound more appealing than white Harvard, maybe, but Harvard doesn't advertise themselves as white Harvard. Harvard advertises themselves as the best of the best. And exactly. It's like everybody comes here, the best and the brightest, Black students and Asian students and all that. And I've been competing my whole time. So I was always like, I want to compete against everybody. I don't want to just compete against the Black people. But it's the same way with the Negro leagues were better than the MLB. And they have us convinced that Jackie Robinson went into a better league, which it wasn't.
Real?
So Fisk has a lot of history. I mean, Fisk was where People's College came out of, which is Baba Al-Kaliman, who I mention all the time. Like SNCC's intellectual arm of the Black Liberation Movement had its foundation with a brother at Fisk. And People's College was about teaching the community, taking the university out of the university ivory tower and making it fit within the community, which is a lot easier if you're like a one block, institution. You kind of have to do that. So that is the history that if you had to put me onto that, I would have been like, cool. I would have been more drawn to that. But trying to compete on these academic standards is how you're going to want to look like STEM. You're going to look like a quantum leap, and you're going to do all of this stuff. And that's how we end up in this situation. So it really is a catch-22. But this is the crisis of Negro intellectual that Carter G. Woodson talked about. Like, this is the history of Black HBCUs. So it's rough.
I want to pull up Drake comment because he said quantum leap ain't that bad a hoe. Exactly. Nietzsche, what you think?
One, I wonder what I just text Zell, but I wonder what organizations in Nashville are doing as it relate to it and what the students are talking
They just
about.
announced this morning, so they probably found it out in real time. Like they literally just announced it.
Well, announcing doesn't mean that it's just now is new. Announcing, people on the students already know about it, and then people who close to the neighborhood probably already know about it. Well, I've never seen nothing.
This feels a little like they kept this shit under wraps. Ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, I've never seen, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never seen an institution or anybody. The first time anybody hearing about it is it hitting the news, especially if there's people who go to the campus. Like I can't imagine that the students not hearing about the conversations. I can't imagine that organizers in the area cannot hear it. So that's what I'm saying. I wonder what they're responding to. And I do, like, even with our data center struggle here, people on our board, like, we've been struggling with it on the leadership board. But the president keeps saying, I just want to make sure that Pittsburgh is not left behind. If the data center is going to be built, so it's kind of like the reactive, like, we need to get into a community benefits agreement because, we don't want to get left behind. But again, like Zell says, funny you asked, boom, boom, boom. So he got something about it. But I'm just curious about what the students struggling for. And then I wonder if, because the data center here, they're using some of the Black college students against the questions that the students, the community have. And it was like, oh, this is going to provide jobs. So I'm just curious about the consciousness of the Fisk students as it relates to the data center. And on top of what Lori said, I just want for us to always be careful that say these institutions are not known for particular things. There might be people in the institutions. So the radical people that was at Fisk probably had to go against a bunch of liberal, campus wide. I don't care how big the campus is.
There ain't that many radical people at Fisk.
I mean, historically there might have been, some people, but
historically, I'm saying like currently.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I mean, this is an administrator's job is just that. A board of trustees' job is just that. Like, this isn't so much about the people; it's about the role, which is why Jared's, not a different world project is a structural critique of what are these universities for? How does the university have to compete with the R1 university? Because as I'm saying, like the reason that Howard compared themselves to Harvard is because they're supposed to be competing with Harvard, even though those Ivies then just like it's like Colonial, they'll just go into your school and pick your best and brightest and take them out. Like that happens all the time. So these end up being farm schools, feeder schools to those universities. So I could understand why Fisk, in order to stay alive under capitalism, is going to feel the need to do that at the admin level, all of that. But yeah, again, the question is like, how does this benefit the students, right? Because even if, and thank you, Leah. So LEED is certification for buildings. It has metrics in different categories such as energy, water, materials, and the buildings get scored. Total lines with the certification of the building receives, and it can be platinum, gold, silver. So,
but somebody else said that LEED technology, Sailor said, also LEED technology is not as healthy as it claims to be for humans.
Yeah, which makes sense. But then, so what are the students getting out of this? Like to Geechee's point, even if, let's say, it was environmentally friendly, it's not going to have any noise problems, it's all the things. Sure, we could say it's maybe a greater benefit than it is a detriment. But let's look at all the stuff we have on this channel about Palantir, Dwayne Monroe's interviews about AI, Barrett Brown's interviews about Peter Thiel and the white evangelical techno-feudalists, all these people who are white supremacists, Nazi cult, Epstein file bros, right? And say, are feeding our kids into that industry a good idea? Because if Lockheed Martin and Raytheon wanted to come to this school and build an engineering wing and then turn a bunch of black students into rocket developers, right, for bombs and guided missiles, that's not good. So I'm seeing this, and it's like it seems to be like all the universities are struggling with this AI wave. So it might bring jobs to the school, but those jobs are going to be feeding kids into AI, which even if that one area happens to be eco-friendly, we know the entire field certainly isn't. So you'll leave that and you'll go work for Google or OpenAI or one of these horrible Epstein places, and you'll do harm. So yeah, it's a rough situation to be in.
I did want to not ignore Cynthia's comment. She said Amber was fired the other evening on the Women with Black Women emergency call. Thanks. I wasn't on that call. Apparently, they played a video of something I like put out or something. I wasn't on that call at all.
Amber was on Democracy. Now they got B-roll footage of Amber just lined up.
You notice how Amber says she don't want to ignore the comment. She's not ignoring the comment. It's just a comment about you.
I didn't want to ignore because I think sometimes people, when they make comments,
we're not ignoring y'all. We're not ignoring y'all if we don't see y'all comment.
They obviously were saying it for a reason. But I would like to take some time for personal privilege to just correct some misinformation from the other day on Remix, because someone did say that the Memphis elected officials brought XAI to Memphis. And I just want to clear up, because that keeps being said, that is not true. Our elected officials, meaning our mayors and our city council, because it was specifically said our mayor and city council brought XAI here, and they did not. XAI bought private property, which means they don't have any kind of public input required, because private property does not require public input. You're only required to give input if you need a permit for planning and zoning from the city for property you want to buy that's not private or that's not zoned for that area. They brought a private building in an industrial park. And the Chamber of Commerce helped them to buy that property. So if we're going to be blaming people, we should be pointing out that the Chamber of Commerce, which is not elected officials, which are regular niggas, are using their power as a Chamber of Commerce not to help Memphians establish better businesses or help smaller business owners, but to create what they call the digital delta and bring more data centers to Memphis, even though we have continued to say we don't want that. So I wanted to make sure that we were clearing up that, because the misinformation is really, really bad, and it also really has an impact. And if someone is correcting you in the comments, you should also read those comments.
I appreciate that. That's that power mapping that I hear so much in liberal spaces, and then I don't see it done properly. Thank you for modeling it, Amber, who actually has the power to make something happen in the community. It's very important. Cool. And then did you want to address the WBBW? I hope I said that right.
That sounded like a porn category. Oh my God.
It's WBWW.
Racism is getting really bad out here.
What, man? What did I say? Well, Amber, you brought it up. WWB.
The Win with Black Women call. Yeah, you can't get them. You can't get them letters out.
What?
It was 3 anyway.
Wait, what I missed? What I missed?
I said
He's trying to get them letters
WBBW
out.
instead of
What?
WWBW.
Oh, BBW. Oh,
I said W. I said WBBW, not WBW.
white.
One
black.
letter. I was one
Wait,
letter
wait.
off.
That's not even bad. That's worse.
It's the Winning with Black Women emergency
Win
call.
with
Amber,
Black
did you want to
Women.
win with Black Women? Did you want to address what the content of that call was, ignoring my one letter mistake?
Yeah, no. But no, it was a call about the All Roads Lead to the South mobilization this weekend, and them talking about it actually wasn't a bad call. They were talking about why we need to move past protesting as like just a cute thing you bring a sign to, but moving towards activation. Like, how are you going to activate your community? How are you going to educate your community on what's happening? And how are you going to get them to not only show up at the polls, but also show up, period? Like, how do you get them to understand what's happening to them in the community so they can respond better? Because a lot of folks don't understand what's happening. They don't understand why this Supreme Court decision impacts them so much. And we aren't taking the time to actually do that. It was actually a really good call. I appreciate that they were taking the time to explain why activation matters, why base building matters, stuff like that. But I wasn't on there. Somebody texted me. And then I hopped on there after they texted me, and I was listening for like 15 minutes, and I got off.
So I got a random.
Go ahead, Geechee. You now go.
Only because Laura made up the BBW. But so Jasmine Crockett, I was at this kava spot yesterday. It was my office.
I know, Brittany.
And they were arguing around Jasmine Crockett or whatever. And I know she did the bad body because I don't know if BBW could be bad body or whatever. But I wonder.
Bleach blonde, bush body.
Well, what do you think about, you personally think about Jasmine Crockett and her politics? Like, I haven't heard many people talk about, or you, or anybody really. So I'm just curious, like, just in generally, what do you think about her and her politics?
We doing Jasmine Crockett discourse with 4 minutes left, brother?
No, I'm just curious about.
You're asking me?
We don't got to stay.
Amber.
Okay. No.
Oh, I think she's like your typical establishment Dem. She does have some radical stances on some things, but she's gonna use like the Dem messaging.
Okay, so she like a sheepdog for the Democrat. Well, I guess she's Dem, so she.
I don't think she's a sheepdog. I think that she pushes back more than people see, and actually, she doesn't get. To me, she really shouldn't push their messaging as much because she doesn't get as much support as she deserves. Like, they didn't support her like they should have in the race she was running for Senate, their primary that she was running. And I felt like they use clips of her all the time for social media, or they put her up to be a surrogate for a candidate all the time, but they don't support her in the same way. But they do Black women like that all the time. So that's not a shocker either.
You talking about the Dems? That's they.
I would say the Dems. I mean, all of the parties do that though. Like, the Republicans have like random Black women that they tokenize. Like, they all do that. And also, those people let themselves be tokenized. So I do think that the Democratic Party isn't tokenizing them. They are, to some point, using them. But because that person is involved in the party, I think it's different. You can't be tokenized in that way. But I do think that we don't have to be loyal to people who aren't showing loyalty to us. And I do think that she learned a lesson from that Senate race, and she's not moving the same way because of that. And sometimes you have to learn that kind of hard lesson. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm not fucking with you no more. Like, you got to be like, okay, I see how y'all are when it comes to a white man who say the same 3 Bible verses every time y'all see him. I'ma just fall back.
I'm gonna just promote my favorite again one more time on this subject. Please check out. Hang on, now they won't let me zoom in on it. This book, The Price of the Ticket.
You're not sharing anything.
You're not sharing nothing.
It wasn't zoomed in. I was trying to get it. Price of the Ticket by Frederick Harris. It talks about this. It does a case study with Shirley Chisholm's campaign. I think you just need to know the history of the Democratic Party with Black women, as Amber's pointing out, with Black people in general. They will use you if you can over deliver. If you can get the votes out Like if Jasmine Crockett could have got people really, really in the polls more than normal, the same way Obama had that effect, they would do it. If not, they will leave black women holding the bag like they did with Kamala Harris, giving her an absolute loser of a campaign that I don't think anyone could have turned around. 100 days before, unelected, throwing her with the bag after Joe Biden literally like collapsed on stage to the point where Donald Trump was even like, damn, I ain't gonna beat this man that bad. This is him. He's like, I don't know what he said. I don't even think he knows where he is. I was like, damn. So to give Kamala Harris that with 100 days and telling her she can't do any policy, because I know that's what her handlers at the Democratic Party said, you can't do nothing, nothing will fundamentally change. She was gonna lose. So I think that is the history. They will be used in that way. If Jasmine Crockett could have over delivered, Dems would have been like, yeah, black girl magic all over again. But because she couldn't, they're back on the white boy stock, which is why I think, the Gavin Newsom, James Tallarico bullshit is what we're in for the Dems. They don't learn. So they're going to run it back.
Tallarico's going to lose. I do think some of the down ballot Texans going in, but I think Tallarico's going to lose.
Yeah, maybe. My point is like they're back in white boy stock is what they're saying. They're like, we should have never. We tried it with Hillary. We tried it with Kamala. They don't want to try women. They don't want to try black women, especially. They're going to just use this generic white boy and hope they can win it again.
I do want to answer Leah's question. She said private property has to apply for land grant, land use permits, correct? No, not if the property is already built. So if someone is an owner, like someone owns property somewhere and they want to buy more property and they want to build a certain thing, then they have to apply for a land use permit if it's not what that area is zoned for. If the area is zoned there, then it just goes through planning and zoning. It doesn't have to go up in front of the council because they're not applying for a new type of permit. They're applying to do something there that's already approved. It's only if you're trying to do something that is not approved. But to clarify, like I said earlier, these buildings already existed. Elon Musk bought an old building, Electrolux, which was a warehouse, a manufacturing facility that already existed. All they needed was the building. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to build anything. The building was already there. And then he bought 3 other warehouses that already existed. So there was no permit he had to apply for because there's no land use he needs because the land is already built on. It already exists, which is why we need to call out our Chamber of Commerce more, who is helping him find these buildings and helping him get around these loopholes and telling him that if you just find the building that's already built that has all the tools you need in it, you don't have to apply for any of these permits, which is what they told him, which is what they told the news. So that's why I'm saying it's important to have the facts about how people are moving, because they're moving like this on purpose so they can avoid public input, because the only public avenue that Memphians have in the city is to go to a city council meeting to provide public comment. So you have to apply for a permit and then have it in front of the council. And they're avoiding that on purpose.
Thanks, Amber. I know we're into overtime a little bit. I'm loving these comments. Zenzi, I cannot wait until Monday. I'm hoping these stories are prepared, that we are nice and ready to go. So we can have these talking points and these conversations. So I'll be very much looking forward to it on Monday. But the reason I do the Black Girl Magic joke, I am always appreciative to highlight this, is because Black Girl Magic was hijacked by Black bougie women from a Black working class mother named Kashawn Thompson. And so while its origin is excellent, and I do like to give credit to its origin because it was obvious what it was meant to do, I always want to point out how it is hijacked by the Democratic Party. So that's why I specifically use it in the context of the Democratic Party. But for that history, briefly, Essence gets into trademark dispute over Black Girl Magic. If you've seen stuff like the Black Girl Magic wine, essentially, Essence is currently embroiled in a trademark dispute. This is April 2017 over the phrase Black Girl Magic with Beverly Bond, the founder of the organization Black Girls Rock. So we already see that there was this sort of nonprofit organization that took something that was supposed to be community oriented, supposed to be working class oriented, and tried to subsume it under something else like Black Girls Rock. The trademark claims are slightly different, with Essence wanting to claim Essence Black Girl Magic, while Bond wants Black Girl Magic, though it gets more interesting when you consider the fact that Kashawn Thompson, who has widely been recognized as the originator of Black Girl Magic campaign, was not aware of this trademark dispute and was not involved in it. As far as back as August 2014, Bond registered her application for a trademark of Black Girl Magic and claimed first use in commerce, though the application was marked as abandoned in October 2017. However, early in February, Bond has applied for a service mark application for a phrase, butting heads with Essence, when a month later, Essence applied to register Essence Black Girl Magic as a service mark. And it goes on to talk about all of these people and the legal case around Black Girl Magic. Unfortunately, even this article isn't covering it, but Kashawn Thompson started Black Girl Magic, or Black Girls Are Magic, to honor the everyday ways that Black women and girls show up in the community for their people and make shit happen. And so I wanted to acknowledge that. I will be more precise with my language. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to raise that point. But yes, it has been very heavily co-opted, commercialized under capitalism, and removed from its original context.
Yes. I also saw Chitty Matcha's comment about Jasmine Parker saying she's naive about many things, unfortunately. And I do think that this is partially true. And I also would say this is true about a lot of Congress members. One thing I have learned from talking to legislators and Congress members, they are very naive about things because no one is educating them on them. And I think it's also the way that we have our government set up. Their legal analysts are mostly doing all the research for them. So unless you're a lawyer like Jasmine who understands the law, realistically, she doesn't understand every single topic that's being talked about to her unless someone is telling her what's wrong. And one thing I have noticed is that she does appreciate when folks explain something, but she doesn't respond when people attack her. And I have seen folks talk to her about the Palestine issue, and she understands and be like, okay, I get what you're saying. But when folks are yelling at you, you're not going to respond in the same way. And I'm not saying people should be nice to her. I'm not saying I should change your response. What I am saying is I have been close and personal with her and other like celebrity Congress members, and there's a lot going on around them 24/7. And there's a lot of people trying to manage things for them because they can't take it all in. Like they just can't. It's not realistic. And so I do think that we should think about that when we're trying to get a certain response from somebody. If we really want them to understand the issue, it does make more sense to try to talk to them about it and be like, hey, these are the reasons, these are the points. I have seen her flip her stance on Palestine issues when talking to someone, but not when someone was yelling at her because she's not even listening to what they're saying. And I mean, if y'all have seen her, I don't know if y'all seen her out in public before, but you can tell she not like paying attention. She disassociating quite a bit. And a lot of them are. Most Congress members are, like the popular ones, just like celebrities do. Like that's a normal thing. So I think we also should consider that too. We really want to see someone move on a topic. How about we lobby them on that topic? How about we talk to them about why they're wrong? Because I have seen other Congress members move on the issue too, but they had to explain it to them. And they're like, okay, I get what you're saying. I'm going to make a different choice next time. But we're not giving them that chance a lot of times. And I think that that's just not helpful.
So I think it's also important to be within context. So I don't know who talked to Jasmine and how they talked to Jasmine, but if they are in an organization where they already sat down and tried to talk and now they're in the escalation phase, that might be something different. Because for example, the Bucker that you was talking about, I'm pretty sure you're not trying to have a sensible conversation with this clown anymore because
No, we tried to have a conversation with him and then we got him fired. So we've already won.
Yeah, so boom, there you go. Escalation.
Yep.
But I think there's a difference between like people online cussing you out and yelling at you and people being like, let me schedule an appointment at her office or let me contact her chief of staff. Let me find out where she's going to be at. Because I've seen people do that. They find out where she's going to be at and they go talk to her. That's worked more. I mean, I did the same shit with Kamala. I don't agree with her on stuff. And when I found out where she was going to be at, I got that little meet and greet VIP thing and I said something to her. I didn't yell at her. I said, hey, you was wrong on that. And we had a conversation about it. That makes more sense to me. And I do understand that some people they just want to get their frustrations out. I've done that. I go to protests, I organize protests. I get that part. But once you get past that part, if I want to see you move on an issue, I have to organize you on it, which means I have to talk about it and explain it.
Well, listen, the fact that we eating these snacks now, I guess we all on a double date right now.
All right, here we go.
I'm sick of your ass.
Did you pay for the snacks? Who bought them? I do want to say, hey, Rob, thank you so much Another thing about Black studies and Black experience, like the three words "Black girl magic," like side by side, like the fact that I originated with Kashawn Thompson makes sense because I like that origin. But Joan Morgan apparently said it in 1999, and even they got into an argument with it. We got to again get past like the colonizer. I am the one who made this thing. Most of the time, our people are independently observing and coming up with all sorts of things all the time. So yeah, I thank you for this. So Joan Morgan, hip hop feminist, coined it back in the 90s, and then there might have been somebody in the 70s. We might go back and if we do the archival work, look in a zine, and someone said Black Girl Magic back in the zine. So but I appreciate you even taking it back further. So now I can add that to the lineage of Black Girl Magic. To the second point, again, I agree, and we can lobby and push people. We always have to organize, and then we also have to understand the nature of the system. You cannot organize a prison guard out of keeping people in prison. That is their role. So I think you already said it, Amber, at the beginning. She is an establishment Dem. She works for the Democratic Party. The Democrats and the Republicans do not move on issues like capitalism. They do not move on issues like U.S. imperialism. So is she going to be anti-Zionist as a Democrat? No, it is not the nature of the Democratic Party.
Democrats.
No such thing.
No such thing. We'll keep building on that.
Politics
is Cori Bush not?
Politics are supposed to be practiced, not postured online or anywhere. It's supposed to be practiced. So the practice,
right? In practice, Cori Bush is not in rhetoric, in how she's shown up and moved discourse, and how she might protest as a progressive wing of the Democratic Party. Yes, you can say that she's more progressive for Palestine, the same way she did Tlaib is. But you already see that once they try and put that into policy, into practice, they are pushed out, right? They are immediately pushed out of the Democratic Party. Rashida Tlaib is. Cori Bush loses her seat. The Democrats ran someone against her. So I would say you're right, Amber, but then I would say look at the response to it. And then at Cori Bush is somebody at least who seems a little more principled. People like Jamal Bowman will sell themselves, and just because they don't sell themselves enough, then they'll lose, and then they start telling and be like, see, well, I went to Israel and they had me shut up and after he loses. While he's in power, ain't no conversation, he's all on board, but once he loses, oh my God, yeah, they're so Zionist, blah, 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 blah.
He wasn't saying that when he was already a Congressman.
All I want y'all to know is y'all need to have that same energy for niggas on the left that y'all have with the doctorate, Jasmine, or whatever her name is, Bryant, the doctor.
Bryant.
Yeah, the same energy y'all have for her that y'all verifying, you need to have that for niggas on the left. You say that's your politics, let me see that shit. And then I'm going to say, yeah, you a doctor or a revolutionary or organizer or whatever the fuck you talking about. You are. Eat your snacks.
And you got to keep the same energy with your boy Diallo. Yeah.
Why not? When do I do?
No, I'm talking about for the Democratic Party discussion.
Oh no, I mean, I think Diallo make really good points. I mean, in fact, Diallo point sides with your points. Like, why the fuck is you critiquing Jasmine for doing Democratic shit? Wouldn't you expect her to do Democratic shit?
Yes, but then he misses the fox and the wolf.
I'm always down to do somebody on something though.
Yeah, we could. We'll keep going because Diallo doesn't understand.
I've just found that like I like to start at you got me fucked up and then move from there. You got me fucked up. Let's send you a little letter. I might come to a meeting, make a little public comment. You ignore that, I'm gonna turn up again. But if you say let's schedule a meeting, I'm gonna talk to you and come with the facts and explain why I feel that way.
Yeah, and
if not, then I'm gonna turn up again.
But that's the tradition we're in, right? And so, Diallo said,
I hate a press conference and a let's send a letter type shit. I'd be like, nah, I sent an email, I sent a text message. I'm not sending no fucking letter. I'm not posting no letter on Instagram talking about we sent a formal letter and they didn't respond. Look, nigga, I told you how I felt in that email. You didn't respond. I'm outside your house. I don't know what else to say. I don't have time for that.
We got to pull up. My thing is this: are they the easiest enemy to fight? This is not the line of Glenn Ford, which is what I align with. I do not think the Democrats are the easier enemy to fight for Black people. And this is where the conversation gets lost. Among Black people, I actually think they are better. Our people are better at resisting, at recognizing the wolf as a threat, as recognizing a Trump as a threat, as recognizing Republicans as a threat. What Glenn Ford's whole point is under Obama, that was the first time Black people ever, as a constituency, swang pro-war. Ever. We never have. So Glenn Ford's point is that the fox is more dangerous than the wolf. So again, please read Price of the Ticket by Frederick Harris. Please study The Democrats: A Critical Reader by Lance Selfa, and then we can have more of a conversation about who is easier to fight among the Black community. I'm not talking about white people. White people are white, have the issue of white nationalism and settler colonialism in their brains, rotting their brains day in and day out. So for those people, I do agree, learning the basic humanity that the Democrats pretend to have is a big thing for them. It's actually a huge step they have to take, unfortunately. So I think for the white people, yes, the MAGA movement, the white nationalists that are embracing fascism and rotting white people's brains is a huge problem. I would agree. But when we are talking about within the Black community, who runs our cities? Our cities are blue run for decades now. Right? Chicago is blue run for decades now. New York is blue run for decades now. And what has happened for our people when we try and fight imperialism, when we try and fight police? Locking up our own happened in the 90s. The Clintons, the Alligator Alcatraz, before Alligator Alcatraz, where they're locking up Haitians in Guantanamo, was happening under Clinton. So this is where we get at where I disagree. I think we have to talk about who is the easier enemy to fight for Black people. In my community right now, the issue we have is that the Democrats are holding on to power and want political dynasties within our community and will not fucking move. And we do not have an issue of Republicans winning. What happens with Republicans is what Amber's talked about, where they're going to carve up the districts and make it so that we can't even get Black representation. I'm talking about if we still have Black representation, then the primary contradiction is getting the fossilized corporate Democrat out of power and putting in somebody who actually represents the community. That's our issue. That's why the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party emerged to fight the Democrats, not the Republicans, because our people had already moved out of the Democratic Party. So Glenn Ford ain't never lie. Absolutely. On manifesto.
And I agree, which is why I said we should be using all the tools. I agree with that. I'm always down to use all the tools. All I'm saying is if there's a specific issue and I have a chance to talk to someone about that issue, I'm not going to be yelling at them because I do want them to actually listen to what I'm talking about. And then after that, if they with the shit, then I'm back on bullshit too. But I'm gonna at least give you I try to give people at least one chance. You got one chance with me. And then after that, I'm back on bullshit.
But you also should ask, like, what can that person? So, for instance, if you be like, here's an example. When my comrade died, one of the elders was like, "We going to so and so office," and we went to so and so office, and so wasn't the person to talk to. So you can yell at so and so all you want. What the fuck they gonna do after you talk to them?
Which is why I keep talking about power mapping and why I keep talking about it's important to know what people can do. It's like why I keep trying to correct the misinformation about XAI, because for months people were hounding our mayor, one, because he did not come out against XAI, which I told him was wrong to his face and to the public. But two, they were saying that he brought XAI there and he didn't. He didn't need to bring XAI there. XAI could do whatever the fuck they wanted to because they got millions of dollars and they bought a building. They don't need our government to do that, which is why we have to make sure people have the correct information about who controls something. Mm-hmm. And that's why people are getting on her about the Palestine issue, because she is voting to fund something that they don't want her to fund, which makes sense. They're going to the right person to get on her about that. But also, we in a super majority. So either way, like they can vote no, the Dems can vote no, but they don't have enough votes to make something fail. But on morals, I would still want someone to vote no for something. And I explained that. Like, even though you feel like your vote isn't going to be the deciding vote, you still should vote no, because that's what we want morally. It's the same thing we said to the mayor. Even though you didn't bring it here, you still need to say, no, we don't want it. It doesn't matter if they're bringing tax revenue. You got to say no. And he wouldn't do that.
And that's how you build power, Amber. Thank you. To that point, do your damn job. It doesn't matter if what are we talking about? Like, you suddenly change because the tide changes or the wind's blowing a different direction. Your job is to hold that line. And then if you lose, like we show with Fannie Lou Hamer, then the people know where to go from there. But if you're wafting and waffling and shit, then people are going to be confused. You hold the line. We can continue to build power. And then when the next go around comes around, you're still there holding the line. And we've been able to organize more people because they're like, look, this person's there doing their job. This person's there holding it down. We need more people to support them so we can actually keep moving this shit. They cannot do it all on their own. But when you start waffling and whatever, and I'm trying to get reelected and all that, immediately you lose the kind of leverage we have. It's like sand in our hands. So thank you, Amber.
Which is why
power
our
nap,
mayor gonna
all that.
lose his reelection. He's not gonna win.
Yep. Hold the line. Let us build power. Let the people see that you did what you were supposed to do, regardless of if you got elected and got the book deals and all of that. And then try again. That's the only way. It sucks. But like our people want to sometimes, not our people, some of the Black misleadership class want to run away from how you actually build power. The Republicans, as everyone is saying, do not change. They're consistent. This is a 70+ year counter revolution with the Powell memo and the Heritage Foundation and COINTELPRO. This has been written for a long time. They just hold. They have factional disputes, and some of them veer even more right. If we had a factional dispute, we don't veer left with the Democratic Party. That's not how it happens. It stays in the center, and then people waffle, and then people kowtow to the right, and all of that. And until we reveal that, like the MFDP did, the MFDP revealed that the Democratic Party would rather maintain white racist Dixiecrats, basically Republicans, in the party in power than grant power to democratically elected Black, and they had 2 white people on their ticket, white people. So that is where we reveal it. And then they hold, and then they keep going. But then, we realize this is a war. Some of the MFDP folks are assassinated real conveniently right after that effort. And that kind of gets lost in history. But I appreciated this. Yep. So I appreciate this convo. And we in overtime. We're about 20 minutes. Y'all want to close out? What y'all got going on this weekend? What y'all got for the people?
Yeah, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. My bad. All I need y'all to do is, share those links. Baltimore Youth.
For folks to apply.
Huh?
For folks to apply.
Yeah. And then buy a t-shirt. That's all.
Buy that t-shirt. You drop the link in the chat, and then we'll put the link in the description after. Amber, you got anything for the people?
No.
You chilling this weekend?
Yeah. I might hang out with the nigga that reads. I don't know yet. Might hang out with a different nigga. Who knows?
Hey,
he that nigga that read now, he done broke a cardinal rule.
Don't bring it up.
Let's not. I hope you have a great weekend, Amber. I hope you have dates as you define them.
Thank you. Yeah, and I define them for myself.
Yep, it's about what makes us happy. That's what we need in this relationship. Life is too short.
No, I'm going to this event tomorrow. I'm probably gonna hang out with some of my creator friends, and I'm probably gonna go out somewhere with some of my work friends, but I don't have nothing big planned.
Where I got 2 events for the people. If you're in Miami, BAP South in coordination with Black Men Build. Happy Haitian Flag Day. We got food, cremas, music, community, and of course politics, discussing the World Cup in Miami, not for sale. So just join us in the BAP South Miami cluster. That's going to be in Miami Shores. So again, follow Black Alliance for Peace or Black Men Build Miami. That's going to be on Saturday, May 16th from 1 to 4. We got Haitian Flag Day coming up. So want to celebrate our Haitian community. And then on Sunday, if you have some time, in front of Roots Bookstore in Liberty City, we're bringing back our chess sidewalk Sunday. So it will be a little hot, but we're going to have water, fans, food for y'all. But if you're interested in playing chess, all levels are welcome. If you're a competitor, you can see if you can take out the best of Black Men Build Miami. And if you're new, we'll have people there to teach you how to play the game. So that's going to be at Roots Bookstore.
Just in the heat?
In Miami. Like I said, we're going to have it covered. But people in Miami, we know how to be outside in the heat, okay? We're used to that. And we're going to have some water for you. We're going to have some food. But just come on out if you're interested. Chess on Sunday, Haitian Flag Day on Saturday. That's all I got.
Chess outside.
Yes, sir. So, as Chairman Fred Hampton used to say, as we say on Black Liberation Media, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, and we'll catch you next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.